So Matt Kenseth, Jeff Gordon on the front row. Jimmie Johnson, who everybody thinks is the favorite to win today, inside of row number 2. And the big story, Brad Keselowski starting back in 26th position. Danica Patrick has had to drop to the end of the field. Her team changed a transmission this morning. Ready to race at Texas. Matt Kenseth, Jeff Gordon on the front row. Bring him to the green. You think some of those cars are running high now? Just wait a little while.
I just can't get over just the visual part of the speed here. I know that we had a qualifying lap over 200 miles per hour, but when they started this thing, man, it's just unreal how fast these cars are going.
Kenseth leads, Gordon second, Kurt Busch third, Tony Stewart, who did that 200-mile-an-hour lap in qualifying. It was in the middle of the 3 qualifying rounds, so it didn't get him pole position, but it did get him the track record. Tony running in 4th, just had a big slip off of turn number 2, and is being closed on and challenged there by Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah, it looks like he had to completely get out of the throttle or either hit the wall over there in turn 2. Tony was pretty good in practice, pretty happy with his race car, thinking that he would have an opportunity to win this race this evening.
If he nicked the wall, he nicked it slightly because I don't see any scuffs.
Yeah, I don't think that he did. I think he just had to get out of the gas completely, and that cost him that one spot. It's a tough corner when you exit out for turn 2. You go from that banking, and it really flattens out. You don't have that gradual part of that. So he's losing another spot there to Kevin Harvick. Struggling a little bit with the handling on this 14 right from the beginning.
Got a long race to get it figured out.
We talked about that track position, sorry, but you don't want to give that up at any time, even though it is 500 miles and a long, long afternoon and evening. You'd rather not put yourself in that position, especially early on.
Now, what happens is the racetrack's going to give up grip. These tires give up speed with laps, so you don't want to give up those spots, and they're going to be really hard to get back when your car's starting to slip around a little bit later.
Look at the line Kyle Busch has taken.
He did that right off the bat, too. I mean, he just kind of went up there and started working that line.
I think this might be a conservative issue with the tires right now. That's just something I think Kyle's found out over the last couple of day and nights racing here that he might want to do that early on to conserve his tires a little bit, not put himself in position. We have had a few tire issues here over the weekend.
That can go both ways, though. I've seen it sometimes. That upper groove's not quite as clean, can be a little greener, and wear the tires a little more, especially in the first run. I would be a little bit nervous about running that line, at least till somebody had put some rubber down up there.
Jimmie Johnson challenging Kurt Busch for 3rd place. Little different look on the 48 car this weekend. It's been kind of fun down in the garage area. If you've ever been in a Lowe's store where the associates wear the red vests, well, all the 48 team had the red vests on all weekend down in the garage area working on the car. Jimmie had one on this morning, doing his appearances and so on. And again, this 48, who's won this race the last 2 years, very much considered a favorite by his competitors after yesterday's final practice.
Well, he was just really strong with speed and longevity with that car. Still a little bit of wiggle right there.
41 Kurt Busch, the first weekend of the crew swap. Stewart-Haas Racing exchanging the road crews and crew chiefs of Danica Patrick and Kurt Busch's team. So Tony Gibson celebrating a 50th birthday.
Yeah, I talked to Tony quite a bit in the garage area. They also switched cars. These are some of the cars that Danica Patrick has been racing. And I asked him, what kind of changes do you have to make? Are the cars very similar? He said, really, the biggest difference is like the dash. That Danica has a little different dash for her to be able to reach the switches and so forth. But basically, they just wrap these cars with the sponsor logos, and they're very similar.
So Kurt giving up 3rd spot as Jimmie Johnson is clear of him. Matt Kenseth had only led 5 laps in the entire chase, the first 7 races before today. He's doubled that now. Starting on pole position, got a little extra passenger on the grill opening of that Toyota. We'll keep an eye on that. Kenseth, the early leader in Texas. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from Texas Motor Speedway on this Sunday afternoon in November. Our telecast today presented by Federated Auto Parts, and we're just underway with race 8 in the chase. There's the lead, Matt Kenseth, by about 7 or 8 car lengths over Jeff Gordon. Kevin Harvick on the move, got by Kurt Busch to take 4th place and has closed quickly on Jimmie Johnson to challenge for 3rd.
No reason to think that Harvick's not going to be part of the mix here. His mile-and-a-half program has been all about being good on the longer runs, along with having the speed to get the job done. We've seen him be right in the mix at many of these races. Even though this probably hasn't been statistically one of his best racetracks over the years, I look for him to be right there tonight when it comes time to take the checkered flag.
The last mile-and-a-half track race we ran was a couple of weeks ago, actually 3 weeks ago, in Charlotte. And Kevin Harvick was the one spraying the champagne at the end of the night. Or in this case, in deference to his sponsor, it might have been a lot of Budweiser going around.
Now this Ford team has really been the standard for speed all season long. You don't expect them to be any different. It's just putting the race together that they're hoping they can do today.
Update on the 4 from Doc.
Yeah, the car stayed in the garage quite a bit this morning. They were doing some last-minute adjustments from Rodney Childers. And now, early on, the team was watching the ESPN monitor and trying to see the front of the car. I think they were concerned, the spotters that said maybe the splitter, that's the yellow front on the very bottom of the car, was on the racetrack based on the line he was running in 3 and 4. They watched and watched and watched, didn't see the splitter hitting, and said, hey, even if it is hitting, he's fast. We're just going to leave it alone.
All right, so Kevin Harvick now trying the high line with a little bit of lap traffic there to encounter. There is Rodney Childers. And Kevin said after the misfortune they had at Martinsville, he said, look, we have 2 racetracks we can win on, both Texas and Phoenix.
Yeah, let's go back to that splitter thing. You know what? That's one of the things that's really critical is getting that as low as you can without it touching the racetrack. But it's really speed dependent. You've got to keep that thing off the racetrack at the highest speed. Once the speed slows down, like it will here, like a 1.5 seconds. So that there's really kind of a fine line there where you might even let it hit the ground a little bit in those really fast laps after restart. The only problem with that is if it comes down to a short run and you got that splitter hitting the ground, it can really hurt you.
And I think this team, and Kevin Harvick in particular as the driver, knowing how good he is at Phoenix next week, takes a little pressure off of today, and he can kind of relax and go run and kind of feel like that he can go after it and give it all. If he has to take a little bit of a chance at the end of this race to try to get into victory lane here today, he can do that because it's nothing guaranteed just because he's won a lot lately at Phoenix. But you got to feel like that your chances are really, really good there for that to possibly happen, and it's probably going to take a win for him to move on.
Talked about Kevin at Phoenix, 5-time winner, including earlier this year.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's no guarantee, though. That's why the pressure's really on this team today to get a win and not have to use that little ace in the hole, so to speak, when they get there next week.
Change for position. Ryan Newman around Martin Truex Jr. Newman into the top 10. Truex back to 11th. Really touching story in USA Today the other day on Martin's longtime girlfriend Sherry Pollux and her fight with ovarian cancer and all that they're going through and all that it means and how much even through that they're dedicated to still supporting children's cancer, the effort to support those who are suffering from cancer, children that are, and certainly our best wishes always and thoughts out to Sherry.
Yeah, it was a great story and really put a wonderful light on the job that they do, and Martin and Sherry both doing a lot of really good things away from the racetrack.
Big run for Kyle Busch off turn 2, and he'll pick up the 11th spot on Truex. His 78 team has certainly come on strong in the latter part of this season and begun to get a little momentum gathered up for the start of next year.
It's been nice to see them finding some things after working together and figuring out kind of what they needed, and I think as much as anything just figuring out the cars with the new rules this year because it was such a big change for them.
More on Truex from Jamie.
Well, I talked to his crew chief Todd Barrier this morning at length, and I asked him about the resurgence lately, the last month specifically, and he said, we're basically all speaking the same language now. We're understanding better what Martin needs in his car to go fast, and he's understanding our part and our role and how we make the car better. And he said the way they unloaded this weekend is about the best they've ever unloaded, and they barely touched on the car in practice. So it's been that good. They're moving in the right direction, and the team as a whole very happy where they're going from here.
So Martin Truex running in 12th place. Jimmie Johnson has run Jeff Gordon down for the runner-up spot.
Yeah, Johnson's pretty much been the one driver that has just stayed right on the bottom of the racetrack pretty much this entire run here to start the race. As he moves to the middle when I say that.
Always,
most of his laps have been right around the bottom.
So Gordon hanging on to second for now. They're both chasing Matt Kenseth, a two-time Sprint Cup Series winner here at Texas Motor Speedway, looking to lock himself into the championship round with a Lone Star win again today. Race 8 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup live at Texas Motor Speedway this afternoon. Next weekend, it's on to the Desert Southwest and the NASCAR Nationwide Series Championship, where Chase Elliott could clinch the crown at Phoenix. See it on ESPN Saturday afternoon at 3:30. Next Sunday, Chase race number 9, where we determine the 4 who will compete in the championship round. Our telecast is presented by Quicken Loans. It's the Quicken Loans Race for Heroes 500 from Phoenix, ESPN next Sunday at 2 Eastern Time. Kevin Harvick, winner of 3 of the last 4. As you watch Matt Kenseth now, who's just taken over as the all-time lap leader here at Texas Motor Speedway. With those laps that he's led today, he surpassed Tony Stewart as the driver who's led more laps here than anyone else. Now, second place has changed hands. Kevin Harvick is now the closest to Matt Kenseth. Funny how that always happens. And he got both Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon in one shot off of turn number 2 a couple of laps ago.
Very spectacular as Jimmie Johnson was trying to take the second spot from Jeff Gordon. Harvick got a huge run from the top side, cleared both of them from 4th to 2nd.
You in the 24 for clear, all clear.
48 kind of lost a little bit of that downforce or whatever, trying to run up underneath Jeff Gordon and had to check up. So now Kevin Harvick is running in second position. He's got a ways to go to catch Kenseth, though. 2.7 seconds is the gap from first to second. So Kenseth there, still with the trash on the nose of his car, but nothing being reported in as a concern for that race team. And you look all the way back to find Brad Keselowski in 22nd place. He started 26th, really hasn't made much forward progress, but still very early in this race.
Like the nationwide race, 4 guys are not running the bottom of 3 and 4 than they are 1 and 2 right now. About 5 or 6 of them off the bottom of 3 and 4, just 2 or 3 and 1 and 2.
Spotter Joey Meyer giving some information to his driver on what other people are doing. As off of turn 4, Danica Patrick makes an unscheduled pit stop here at lap 37.
I saw her get really high going into turn 3. Almost hit the wall in the middle of 3 and 4.
Wow, look at the tire marks off of that 4 car when he's trying to avoid running into Danica.
Looking like she might have had a tire going down or something like that. Just couldn't get the car turned on the exit of the corner there.
Felt something wrong.
Yeah.
And had definitely checked up. So Patrick, who had just been lapped by the leader Matt Kenseth, now is overtaken a second time with a green flag pit stop and is 2 laps down in 43rd place. Casey Kane, someone very high on Andy Petry's list of people to watch today.
Yeah, if you watch the race at Atlanta, I just think that Kenny Francis and Casey Kane do such a good job at these tracks that are fast and give up grip like this one does, and the one in Atlanta. They were able to get that win there to get into the chase in the beginning part. I think they have a really good car today.
Clint Boyer's in, Dave.
He drove from 24th to 15th on that first run. This is a scheduled stop. They will change 4 tires. Car was pretty good for him, and you can tell by the number of cars he had passed navigating that traffic, full of Sunoco fuel and gone.
Yeah, that's just it's a little bit early on the fuel part of it, but I expect to see a lot of short pitting here because of just what I said. The tires give up a lot of speed.
So we'll see where things cycle out for Clint, who needs this to stay green until everybody makes a pit stop without a yellow flag coming out. So Matt Kenseth has led all of the laps so far. We're through 50 miles here at Texas, presented by Federated Auto Parts. Caution has just come out here at Texas. Josh Wise has popped the wall off of turn number 2, as illustrated here.
See, the car really gets sideways there. Tries to correct it, but hard into the outside wall.
And so the first yellow at a bad time for Clint Boyer. Good time for everybody else to make a pit stop and get a look at those tires, Vince.
Jimmie Johnson says it's a little snug into 3, but otherwise it's generally loose everywhere else. So it's going to be a 4-tire change for Jimmie Johnson. Also going to make a track bar adjustment in Sunoco fuel.
Doc?
Jeff Gordon saying the car really started to get loose off of turn 2. Maybe somewhat of a tailwind. They're going to put 4 tires on to go 1 round up on the track bar and tape on the grill. Kevin Harvick saying, I'm tight to the center and loose off. It'll be a 4-tire change for Harvick and air pressure. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth led all the laps so far. A little free off. He needs a little better turn the first half of the run. It was 4 tires. They made a chassis adjustment, and he will maintain the lead, Alan.
Jeff Gordon going to lose a ton of spots on that pit stop. 6 of them. Watch the right front here on Jeff's stop.
Looks like they may have had a lug nut or something hanging up there on the hub. They wanted to make sure they didn't have a problem with.
Restart coming up. Major League Baseball's influx of Cuban players can be traced back to a pair of half-brothers whose courage 2 decades ago paved the way for the current players' chance at stardom. Brothers in Exile tells the incredible story of Levon and Orlando Hernandez, who risked their lives to get off the island of Cuba. It's 30 for 30 Brothers in Exile, presented by Infiniti, Tuesday at 9 Eastern on ESPN, and watch ESPN. So 1 to go here as Jeff Gordon lost 6 positions on his pit stop. We showed you the problem, and a little further diagnosis shows it might have been time well spent.
Yeah, take a look at the right front. That's Scott Brzezowski. Now, they had a lug nut that came and was stuck on top of the studs. Watch how quickly Scott Brzezowski thinks. He takes the tire off, clears the lug nut, puts the tire back on. That could have been a very costly pit stop and only cost them a few extra seconds and 6 spots. Let's listen to the radio, hear what Jeff had to say.
I had a lug nut stick up there on the hubcap. We had to pull off. Sorry about that. Yeah, it happens.
And we're always sometimes pointing the finger when these guys make a mistake, but we should really give a call to Scott Brzezowski because he did a great job clearing the lug nut quickly and it not being more of a factor than it was. Alan?
I can tell you, that was a real heads-up move. We saw a problem with the 4 car. They had something similar to this at Dover, where they were changing 4 tires under green. One of those lug nuts got caught up inside the wheel and knocked the stem out. This is the problem it caused for him. He blew the left front. I'll tell you, that was a real heads-up move by Scott, that tire changer, to see that and have the, just the moxie to be able to stop what he was doing and get it off of there.
So Jeff Gordon back to 10th position from 4th and doubled up there in that outside lane for the restart. Matt Kenseth with Jimmie Johnson to his outside coming back to the green.
I've seen something today from that 20 car, Matt Kenseth, on the initial start and that restart. As that car takes off, I think they've got something under the hood that they haven't shown all year. He actually outpowered those cars on that start.
Certainly been something that this team has been looking for, that little extra that they could get from Toyota. And it's like they're bringing it at the right time for them. A lot of racing here, hard racing. We're seeing 3 wide on this restart.
There's another Toyota on the move, that 11 car of Hamlin.
Casey Kane. And he's one to watch today, racing with Joey Logano for 3rd place.
Well, Logano had made a big move to the outside of Kevin Harvick down in 1-2 on that restart to take that 3rd spot away.
So Kane to 3rd, Logano to 4th, Harvick 5th. Here we go for 6th. Kurt Busch to the inside of Ryan Newman. And through. Nice job by Brian Vickers' team on the round of pit stops. Get him up a couple of spots. Now Vickers there trying to track down Newman and see if he can grab the 7th position away.
And I think this 55 car has been running some things for Toyota over the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've seen them qualifying a lot better. Most time you see something like that, yeah, the team might find a little something, but a lot of times in qualifying, you see that happening because they're getting a little bit more under the hood. And I think it's proven out because he really hasn't had any problems, and they've been able to bring that and incorporate it to others, including Matt Kenseth's Toyota.
Yeah, and you can see that in qualifying with Matt Kenseth by being on the pole. And just watching those restarts, it was just like something I hadn't seen out of these cars this year.
Now that outside lane front row.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. There is that. I mean, there's definitely a lane advantage.
Yeah.
But it's just something it just really looked like he overpowered on that start.
Denny Hamlin, who started this race back in 20th place, up to 12th.
It'll be interesting to see when you talk about that lane choice, when you see Matt Kenseth maybe on the outside and somebody else controlling it, then you get a field gauge on it.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about Denny Hamlin, who said that he felt like you're going to have to run top 5 at each one of these last races to have a shot at the championship. So Denny trying to pick his way toward the top 5. Tony Stewart next ahead of him for 11th place. After Matt put a little bit of a gap on Jimmie Johnson on the restart, Jimmie's tracked him down and hunting the race lead.
This 48 was kind of the class of the field in practice. He's showing it now. Matt used that pole position in that clean air to maintain the lead for quite a few laps. They believe those 53.
48.
So first lead change of the race as Jimmie Johnson, winner of this race the last 2 years, goes to the #1 spot here at the conclusion of lap 54. Good run off of 4. Matt back to his back bumper.
You know, earlier in the race, Jeff Gordon had closed up to Matt's back bumper, and Matt moved up a lane at that particular time, and that's really when he kind of drove off. We'll see if that works out here. You can see Matt's already kind of moved up some.
And Jimmie moved to that exact spot on the racetrack.
Imagine that. He didn't win 6 championships by just looking out front.
How about the 48, Vince?
Yeah, they like that race car. It was a little too free for Jimmie during that first run, but they made a chassis adjustment to snug him up a bit, make it a little more comfortable. Also, his spotter, Earl Barbin, and also Chad Knaus on the box have been updating Jimmie on where the faster cars have been running. And Jimmie trying to take advantage of that as well. They really like the race car, as you noted, all weekend long. It's been good again here today. Jamie?
Well, DJ and Andy were talking about the 20 car and what they're seeing in it. Well, Jason Ratcliffe told me they built this car just like all the others, but they've raced it 3 times and it's never finished outside the top 5. They said there's something about this car, it's very responsive to change. So on that first run, Matt was just a bit free. They made a track bar adjustment. He's been pretty happy with it, even though he's relinquished the lead now to Jimmie Johnson. They love this car and they're hoping it's as good at the end as it has been so far.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Matt running second now to Jimmie Johnson. The 6-time champ, the only driver who's been in the chase every year the format's existed. He's won a race in every chase, except this one so far. Jimmie Johnson trucking along in the race lead here at Texas Motor Speedway. Second leader of today's race. Our telecast presented by Federated Auto Parts. We are just shy of the 100-mile mark. Matt Kenseth led the first 53 laps. Jimmie's been out in front for the last 10. That trucking along, a way for me to tell you that you can visit winyourchevy.com to enter for a chance to win the new 2015 Silverado HD and the Ultimate Silverado Adventure.
There was something there, so you were going to tie that to. I wasn't sure.
Usually is, right?
Usually is.
So as you notice these cars going around the racetrack, you always see after the first pit stop in the race, that little piece of metal just in front of the right rear tire, the side skirt on the car. Everybody gives that a tug. Obviously, it helps aerodynamically, and all the teams do it on their pit stop. Right? You see Jimmie Johnson's there a little bit. Here's a look at Kevin Harvick's.
Yeah, you see that right there. This is something that they don't allow them to do beforehand. They have, a shape that this has to meet. But after the race starts, the teams will reach down there and pull that out, and it does make more downforce and side force. They seem to allow them to do it. But now, if you look at Ryan Newman's car, you can see the side skirt's actually broken away. I don't know, they must have a big guy pulling on this one. Maybe he grabbed it just a little too hard, but it's sticking way out there today.
So we'll keep an eye on that for Newman.
Yeah, we've talked to NASCAR about that. They see this too, and there's just no way they can really regulate it, so they just kind of let it go. So that's why you see those side skirts sticking out almost always on every car after the first pit stop.
But again, Newman's maybe just broken right away from the side there. Ryan trying to take 6th place away from Kurt Busch and doing so there. So Newman having another solid run in the early going here at Texas. It's been a big topic of conversation with Newman and Kenseth advancing on, and can a driver win the championship who hasn't won a race, and how will fans react? Well, first thing is, historically, no one has ever, no matter what the championship system, no one has ever won the Sprint Cup Series championship without winning at least one race during the course of a season. I personally don't see it happening. I think as tough as this competition is, I'll see Denny Hamlin, you got to run top 5 every week, and I'll raise it more. You are going to have to win, and we've all talked, maybe even Homestead you may have to win this championship.
Yeah, it's not going to happen again this year. Nobody, I don't think, can win this championship without winning. And that's not saying that it won't be Ryan Newman or Matt Kenseth. I think they can win Homestead and win the championship, but I think that's about what it's going to take. If they don't have a win by the time they get to the last race, I think that if they're going to win it, they're going to have to win the championship. They're going to have to find a way to win a race.
You're going to have 3 other outstanding drivers and teams that you're going to have to beat at Homestead to win the championship, which more than likely is going to mean you're going to have to win that race. And it's very possible that this 31 or the 20 could win here today and erase that possibility.
Well, 4 times in the history, there has been a car that has had 1 win and win the championship. But I don't think you can win no races and win it. We'll see. And it could happen. Mathematically, obviously it could, but I don't think it will.
Kevin Harvick by Joey Logano there to pick up 4th place. Jeff Gordon trying to rally back from the pit stop problem earlier. Just took 7th away from Kurt Busch. Remember, Gordon lost 6 positions on his pit stop when they had the lug hang on top of the hub, and took a minute to peel it away before it caused damage after the tire was reinstalled and he drove away.
If Jeff Gordon wins the championship, they're going to look back on that one moment right there as being one key thing that they were able to save something there that could have caused them a big-time problem. That was a heads-up move by that tire changer to get that lug nut off that hub.
Literally short-term pain for long-term gain there. So, new second-place runner behind leader Jimmie Johnson, as Kasey Kahne has moved up to the number 2 spot. There he is in the 5 car. And Dave, after starting back in 14th, has got it moving forward.
Talked to engineer Chris Spalding this morning, who spent a couple of days in Homestead this week with chasers and non-chasers alike. This team found some things there. He said the days were long. Man, we were tired. But when they apply what they learned here, it's worked very, very well for Kasey, and he's driven that car to the front.
Usually Kasey on these kind of tracks waits till later in the race to make that move to the front. I hope he's not doing it too soon.
You never know. Look, maybe he didn't set his clock back today, so he's on a time frame
that might be it.
He thinks it's later in the afternoon and it's time to get to the front.
It could be that.
That's fun. So Casey Kane up to second. Cars.com, all drive, no drama. Shows you that Casey is the biggest mover in the race so far. Brad Keselowski picking his way through a little bit. But Casey gaining the most positions in the early going. It's got 1.9 seconds of deficit to that man, the leader, Jimmie Johnson, winner of this race the last 2 years, looking to make a statement in these closing races of 2014.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Texas, presented by Federated Auto Parts, is brought to you by Diet Mountain Dew. Drink Diet Dew. It's the only diet with dew in it, and the only diet for Dale Jr.
Dale Jr. running in 9th place as Jimmie Johnson leads, and our interest is piqued by Kevin Harvick closing on Matt Kenseth to race him for 3rd position. Harvick had a good run on Kenseth off turn 2 last lap. Perhaps you'll get a chuckle out of this.
Kind of expected Matt to wave him by. But, yeah.
And now side by side with some lap traffic in front of them.
Oh, Jason Radcliffe, Matt's crew chief, I'd say just let him go for now.
Well, he probably doesn't have to, but you also don't want to give the idea that, hey, yeah, I'm not going to race you. Even though we had our issues and, yeah, it was a mistake that I made, you're still going to have to race me. This is a race. We're in this. We're both after the same thing, and that's to get to the checker flag first here today. I'm not going to be intimidated by you.
So 3rd place changes hands. Kevin Harvick up to 3rd. Matt Kenseth back to 4th.
That's exactly why I would have said just let him go, because I figured that, you know, the driver is not going to want to do that. You can look at Matt; he's not giving up.
And 2 can play this game too. You saw he got to the back bumper of Harvick, got him really loose. Now Harvick's struggling to get off the corner.
I don't know if I poked that bear too many more times.
I'm going to tell you something. Everybody looks at Matt Kenseth as being this nice, mild-mannered guy, and he is a very nice guy and mild-mannered most of the time. But you don't want to rile him inside this race car either.
That sounds like you from experience.
Been there. We had our issues. We worked them out. But, yeah, I can just point that out to you. Just don't think that this is a guy that's just going to let things go, too.
So Kenseth, who led the first 53 laps of this one, sliding back to 4th position in this run. The next car behind him is Jeff Gordon, who's worked his way back up to 5th. Checking in on Brad Keselowski, who's up to 15th place, Jamie.
And he's gained 11 spots so far, and he's been talking to his spotter, Joey Meyer, who's also his pilot. They're talking about the wind direction, and you can see our cameras bouncing around. The winds have really picked up. Brad's saying to the team he feels really inconsistent this run, and now he just said he has a vibration in the right front, so his team is up on the wall. All their helmets are on and ready just in case Brad decides to dart down pit road.
There's not a good place for a vibration, but the right front is the worst.
I see him with his right hand on the straightaway reaching down to the shifter area, and actually maybe even behind that. I'm not sure if he's got a brake adjuster there or what he's.
He could have something there. Sometimes too, you can kind of put your hand to get a feel of maybe where it is. Is this a tire issue that's doing this? Is this something that's related to the drive shaft rear end? Of course, they just had a gear problem last week. You wouldn't think that would happen here, but you never know. So sometimes you can feel the floor pan of the car and kind of get a little better idea of where that vibration is. Is it coming along with RPMs in the car? And you can feel that through that.
Very interesting. So Keselowski in 15th, and we'll keep an eye on him. Here's Jeff Gordon on the rally. Up to 4th place around Matt Kenseth.
This car has been really, really solid. You expect him to make a little adjustment from that first run, even though he was really good then, but driving up from 10th up into that 4th spot now.
Now, been about 40 laps since the last round of pit stops, beginning to see some trickle onto the pit lane under green here. Eric Almirola is on pit road now. Danica Patrick has been on and off pit road. And we'll see when some of these front runners begin to slow and come on in.
Yeah, the tire wear is pretty high here. This track kind of chews those right side tires and left side tires up for that matter. I'm sure guys are going to be very sensitive to that. If they feel something funny, they're going to get on in here and change tires.
As it relates to Keselowski, if you know that's a concern, you don't want to be the one to bring out the caution. You figure somebody's going to, but you don't want to be the one.
Just kind of looking up ahead of Jimmie Johnson, a car that's still in the chase. Carl Edwards not too far ahead of him that could possibly be going a lap down here soon.
It's all the way back in 25th place.
You see him right there, the next car in front of Stenhouse, who was right in front of Jimmie.
Tony Stewart on the pit lane, and it looked like a really slow approach to the pit road too, Vince.
Well, and the car is just getting up out of the track more and more. Feels like it's tripping off the corner, so not in the racetrack at all. Going to make a significant chassis adjustment. They also struggled on the restart. They restarted 11th and came down pit lane in 17th, so they lost spots that run. Now the 41 of Kurt Busch, car's a little tight on entering and a little loose off. Remember, this is the first time he's worked with crew chief Tony Gibson, although they did test together this week. And Tony said that is a big help for them in the familiarity category. They're going to make a track bar adjustment, also a wedge adjustment, 4 tires, air pressure, Sunoco fuel. Pretty big swing here for the 41. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski, as I reported, he had a small vibration in that right front. He will be very relieved to get those tires off. They made a chassis adjustment. It'll be 4 tires here. He said the track is definitely freeing up there. They're trying to stay ahead of that track. Doc?
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming in, and his quote was, I hate this car. He said, all weekend we've had problems with not having any rear security off of turn 2. He said, I've dealt with it all weekend. They're going to make a chassis adjustment right rear, 4 tires to get it close to Sunoco fuel. Jamie?
Joey Logano was told his tires looked good after that first pit stop. They were concerned after the Nationwide Series race yesterday. Wipe the grill, 4 tires, Vince.
Jimmie Johnson comes to pit lane. Chad Canal said, how's your car? And I quote, Jimmie said, pretty damn good. No changes, just 4 tires.
Very nice. Kevin Harvick takes over the lead and leads a lap. More pit stops, Dave.
Denny Hamlin said my car is real tight when asked about 5 laps ago. He will get a wedge adjustment, 4 tires, and a filling of Sunoco fuel, Jamie.
And Matt Kenseth, this car is very responsive to change. They went down on the track bar last time. Matt said he got too tight, so they made another adjustment. You saw they put some tape on the grill and 4 tires.
And here's Kevin Harvick. And remember before they were tight center, loose off. They added wedge in the car. And he said it fixed the exit, but I'm still tight center. I need help there. 24 car. Jeff Gordon said, I'm really loose, guys. Track bar helped it, but I gotta have wedge. Harvick right, Gordon left. Harvick's away, 12-1, 13 Gordon. Jamie.
Ryan Newman tight into 3, but not as tight as last run, so they were gaining on it. You see the side skirt there. The whole team was actually checking that out on our cameras. It looks like it's still there. It's going to stay there. Nothing they can do about it at this point.
And probably won't until they're told to. So cycle of pit stops is complete. Jimmie Johnson is back to the race lead. Kasey Kahne looked like the one who lost a lot of ground on that cycle of stops. We'll recap it for you and reset the running order in just a minute. Our telecast presented by Federated Auto Parts from Texas Motor Speedway, just about 150 miles into the race. At the 150-mile mark of the AAA Texas 500, Jimmie Johnson is the race leader over that race for second. Matt Kenseth had it. Kevin Harvick just passed him to take over the runner-up spot. Just the one caution in the race so far, and the 3 different leaders in the race, Kevin Harvick, Jimmie Johnson, and Matt Kenseth. Check on the fastest 4-tire pit stop, brought to you by Sprint. Matt Kenseth's team knocking off at 11.4. As the Gibbs crews continue to be impressive in the pit lane. Stay connected to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with the Sprint Family Share Pack. 20 gigabytes of high-speed data to share, plus unlimited talk and text for $100 a month. Learn more at sprint.com/datashare. So if Harvick is second, and Kenseth is third, and Jeff Gordon's fourth, and Joey Logano is fifth, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is sixth, and Ryan Newman is seventh, where's Kasey Kahne, who was second before the pit stops? He's now back in eighth. Dave Burns can explain why.
Now, pit lane is never an easy place. These guys train hard, but you never know when you might just find something on pit road that makes it a little bit slippery. And Jeremy Fuller coming around the rear there stumbles as he comes around, and that costs them time on the pit stop. Casey was confused as to why, under green flags, they can't just get it done.
I just don't know what's so difficult about an average stop. Just be average.
When he looks back and he's able to talk to the guys, he'll understand, but right now, a frustrated driver who lost track position.
Thanks, Dave. Carl Edwards, championship contender, about to be lapped by the leader, Jimmie Johnson. Carl running back in 24th place.
Yeah, he's fought hard to try to stay in front of Jimmie Johnson there. You know, he came in at the same time Johnson did, was still in front of him for those last green flag stops, and came back out and held him off here for about 10 laps. But really struggling here, Vince.
Yeah, and it's disappointing for this team because they felt like they've been pretty good throughout the weekend in practice, but Carl was, when I spoke with him before the race, was really curious to see how the car would react in race conditions, and it's just been way too loose. Loose in and loose off. No security, no drive off. Just haven't had the grip that they need, and you see the result. They are falling way back.
And that's typical whenever you see, as we see Jeff Gordon taking the third spot from Matt Kenseth here, but typically you have a loose race car at these high speeds. You've got to have the car underneath you. Well, the tires will hold you for a little bit. That's why he was able to stay out in front of Jimmie Johnson there. But once that grip starts going away, then you've got your hands full.
So a big deficit for Carl Edwards, as you see on the third line of data at the top of the screen there, as they run now to dig out of to try and find a way through to Homestead, where he'll be evened up with whoever else makes it through and have a shot at winning a championship. Ryan Newman, Joey Logano, 5th and 6th place. Logano the winner here back in April, but really we haven't seen Joey get up there and contend for the top 2 or 3 spots so far in this one. I know it's early, but so far we haven't.
I wouldn't count him out. In practice, it's been kind of that way. It's just been kind of average. He qualified 10th, which is not bad. I think that by the time this race is over, Todd Gordon, his crew chief, and him are on the same page. They'll have this car tuned up when it needs to be.
I'll be interested to see that. Just by what I've seen, what you were talking about through the whole weekend, I think that they're going to be satisfied maybe today and when this finishes this evening with another top 5 finish, which would put them in a really, really good spot. I just haven't seen the speed and the handling in this car to be able to go up there and mess with these Chevrolets that are running up front right now.
You know, as much as we've talked about the intensity and the pressure and so on that these teams have been facing, we talked about the Talladega race, the last race in the prior round, as being such a wild card. But there are a lot of people already really edgy about the Phoenix race next Sunday. The high speeds, the difficulty of that racetrack, the congestion on the restarts and so on. And just as with Talladega, maybe not quite to that extreme, but people don't want to leave their fate to chance next Sunday if there's any way they can find a way to not, and that means winning here in Texas today.
Yeah, you'd like to have yourself in that position, but it's only going to happen for one person at the most, and the way things are going here right now, Jimmie Johnson's trying to make it where that person's not even going to have that opportunity, but it's going to be a tough race. Talking to the drivers that were out there testing and everything, the track is slick with the tire combination that they have. They really feel like that it could be a very intense, long race that next Sunday afternoon.
It's heard the word eventful used to describe it. That's next weekend out in Phoenix. Saturday, we have coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series race where Chase Elliott could be crowned champion. ESPN 3:30 Eastern Time Saturday. Then next Sunday, the Quicken Loans Race for Heroes 500. Race 9 in the chase, the one that's going to determine which 4 drivers go to Homestead into the championship round. ESPN 2 Eastern next Sunday from Phoenix. Great to see the announcement earlier today that the grandstand tickets for Phoenix are sold out. Congratulations to Brian Sperber and his staff, though plenty of seating available on the hillside. And that is certainly a great place to watch a race at Phoenix, and it should be a spectacular weekend next weekend in the Valley of the Sun. Joey Logano, Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr., 6th, 7th, and 8th places. Trying to find a way to catch this man. Jimmie Johnson led the most laps now in this one, but still got a long way to go at Texas. Jimmie Johnson, the leader at Texas Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, presented by Federated Auto Parts on ESPN today. Jimmie out in front for 61 of the 116 laps that have been run after Matt Kenseth led the opening 53. Kevin Harvick led 2 in a cycle of pit stops. Our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. And a reminder that NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy has the enhanced coverage today, including all the high-def views, the chat rooms, and more at NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. It was a year ago in this race that Jimmie Johnson led 255 of 334 laps in scoring a rather dominating win. It's early, but he's showing that same kind of muscle today for sure.
Well, he's certainly strong, but he can look in his mirror and he probably sees a car coming at him. And Kevin Harvick is getting closer.
But still got a second and a third to go before he'll get there. Up to speed and check on some of the top runners. Here's Vince.
Well, Jimmie admits it hasn't been much fun the past couple of months, but now the pressure is off. They've been eliminated from the chase, and they just want to have some fun in these final weeks and end the year strong. They haven't really had the speed during much of the course of this season that we've been accustomed to seeing out of the 48, but it certainly seems like they've got it today. That car has been bad fast throughout the course of the afternoon. Doc?
And back behind him is Kevin Harvick. There is the 4 car for Happy Harvick. And right now, not very happy seeing the car. Said, I'm holding on, quote. This car is very, very free. Now, you see him trying to hang on as the car bobbles there, going by Danica Patrick. Now, Harvick, we told you, doesn't have very good numbers here. But one number may help him. Today is 500th career Sprint Cup start. And yeah, Matt Kenseth and Richard Petty both won in their 500th start. Maybe he can do it today. Now back behind him, when this weekend began, Jeff Gordon said, you know what? He said, the chemistry, the communication I have with Alan Gustafson has my confidence at an all-time high. He said, I know we as a team are going to make the right moves and right adjustments. And that last stop, Alan Gustafson put a half round of wedge in it, and what was a loose race car is no longer. Right now, Jeff Gordon has a rocket. Here's Jamie.
And Matt Kenseth behind him started on pole for just a second time this year, led 53 laps today. Jason Ratcliffe, his crew chief, told me this morning, this is one of the hardest places as a crew chief to keep up with the track and adjust. You don't want to adjust too much. You see the hand on his head right there. Matt has been both tight and loose today as the 31 of Ryan Newman ducks to the inside of the 20, but Matt right now hanging on. The car not terrible. And Ryan Newman, who just moved around him in front, they've been working on the car to get it better as well. Talked to his team this morning, and they are so fired up about being in this position in the chase as the lone RCR car going for the championship. All their teammates have rallied around the 31, really been testing different things on the cars to help them be better and give them the best chance at a championship. Doc?
And how about last week's winner at Martinsville, the 11-time most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, I was told by Steve Letarte, Jr. has driven this car 4 times this year. Both times he won at Pocono in this car. He drove it at California Auto Club Speedway early in the year, running up front, cut a left front tire. So he drove this car the last time, leading at Kansas, cut a right front tire. And right now, Jr. says it is very, very tight middle, and that's really hurting us being able to get off. Dave.
After losing 6 spots on pit road, Casey Kane himself is a little bit better. The car, not so much. Tighter on the bottom, no grip in the race car, and so his run to the front is stalled in 8th.
And Joey Logano right behind him, talking to his crew chief, Todd Gordon. He said, yeah, we have 5 wins on the year, but it doesn't matter at this point in the chase. They go out the window. And as a result, Todd said his sleep habits are deteriorating at this point in the year. He said, I'm getting 3 a.m. emails, and that's just part of the stress of trying to make it through, make it to Homestead to have a chance. Joey right now just starts out loose, and he gets tight as they go, Vince.
Well, in 9th place is the 41 of Kurt Busch, and with this being the first time that Busch has worked with his crew chief Tony Gibson, you might think they may have, conservative expectations. Not the case. They came in here believing they could win, despite the fact they'd only worked together a couple of days this past week at a test at Homestead. They liked the chemistry that they have. They thought they had a car that could contend today. We got a long way to go. They've been pretty solid. Kurt's still a little tight in and loose off.
The 55 of Brian Vickers likes the entry and exit a lot better on this last run after they made a pretty significant adjustment on the car before in that previous pit stop. Vickers ran here well in April. In fact, he finished 4th. I talked to him before the race. He said, I think we've got something to work with today. And he's showing it. Dave?
Driver and crew of the 11 have been solid on pit road so far today, but he still runs in the 11th position, hasn't moved any far forward. Right now, the center, they got better with their adjustment, but the exit of the corner, snappy at the later part of it, and that's concerning to Denny. Vince?
Well, of the 42 of Kyle Larson, Larson has been so quiet today. At one point, they radioed into him just to make sure he was still awake. He has said hardly anything, but they have moved up a few spots. They were very optimistic about this being the kind of track that Kyle likes. Multiple grooves and running up on that high line. Jamie?
And back in 13th, Brad Keselowski started 26th. They were hoping for a sunny, warm day for this car and this track, but that hasn't been the case. He's saying his car is unstable, bouncing around, and won't turn. And Alan, as I reported, he thought he had a loose right front wheel. He had a vibration, but indeed it was not loose. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. So Brad running in the 13th position. Jimmie Johnson, the race leader. Still a long way to go here in Texas. Pretty good race for the lead shaping up at Texas Motor Speedway. At the 1/3, a little past the 1/3 mark of this race, Jimmie Johnson being tracked down by Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon closing on the both of them.
See, these two drivers are just over a half second behind, but all of them sliding the rear end off of turn 2 there.
Now, coming up on the window for another round of green flag pit stops, Brad Keselowski, Marcos Ambrose make a move here. Eric Almirola was just on the pit lane, as was Danica Patrick. So got the race for the lead on one side and the pit stops on the other. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski saying he's inconsistent and the car's unstable. It won't turn. He wants some help to fix this car. But actually right now, this point in the race, I haven't heard a driver that says he's very happy with the car. There's the chassis adjustment for the two. As they work on the left side, it'll be 4 tires, and they'll fill them up with Sunoco fuel.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Jeff Gordon around Kevin Harvick for 2nd place. While Jimmie Johnson tries to put Clint Bowyer a lap down. Bowyer fighting hard to stay on the lead lap in 18th place, but it's not going to work there. And more pit stops, including Dale Jr., Doc.
Yeah, remember I told you Junior said the car is really tight center and it's really hurting our time getting off the corner. They made a track bar adjustment last time. They're going to make a right rear adjustment again. Chassis-wise, 1 round, right side tires on, left side going on. They've got to get it completely full of Sunoco fuel. Jamie.
And Joey Logano says he's free, and then he's tight landing on both ends of the racetrack. Needs a little bit of help with that. They'll take 4 tires. Tires are at a premium here. Widen the grill, and they filled them up. Doc, let's go back to you.
Boy, Kyle Busch has had his hands full, Jamie. He's already had contact with the wall on the right side of the car. He wants to jump sideways, so very loose. He's a lap down. Dave Rogers said, hang on, buddy. Do the best you can to hang on. Major chassis adjustment. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth said he has a bad push, meaning the car just doesn't want to turn. He said, I don't know even what to ask for at this point. 4 tires once again. Let's go back to Vince.
Jimmie Johnson a little loose getting back to throttle, so they made a chassis adjustment. 4 tire change, Sunoco fuel. Doc?
Kevin Harvick has said, I'm trying to hang on, but man, it is loose out here. They will go around right rear, right side tires are on. Looks to be a good pit stop so far. Left front, left rear on it, full of Sunoco. Dave.
Denny Hamlin fell back to 12th. Snappy late exit was the complaint that he had. That'll be a wedge adjustment for Denny. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for the championship contender Hamlin. Doc?
Jeff Gordon said, I'm still a little bit loose off, but I can't afford to be any tighter on landing, so whatever adjustments you make can't be significant. Looks like it's air pressure only, not looking at a wrench. Left side tires going on so far. Pit stop is flawless. Left front on, and Gordon getting full of fuel. Jamie.
A lot of these drivers saying they're loose, but the 31 has been airing on the tight side, and that was by design. That was their plan. 4 tires, they wiped the grill good. His temperatures were up. He had trash on the grill, Dave.
Jamie McMurray has had a loose race car all day today. He'll get a chassis adjustment, 4 tires, and Sunoco fuel, and send him back on his way.
Paul Menard finishes the cycle of green flag stops here with this visit to the pit lane. Dave?
Pretty good run for him. He was 14th before everyone started pitting. Good into the center, good into the corner, good off of the corner. It was the tight center that he wanted some work on. He'll get a chassis and air pressure adjustment to try to help him in this 27 car.
So that brings things back around to Jimmie Johnson as the race leader. Looking for Kevin Harvick. There he is back there, slicing his way through some of the lap traffic. Harvick got caught behind a couple of lap cars leaving pit road, and it cost him a little bit of ground to Jimmie.
Back at Texas Motor Speedway, they like football around here.
Yeah, they do.
Monday Night Football, Andrew Luck and the Colts visit Eli Manning and the Giants. Did you know those 2 quarterbacks have never faced off during the regular season? Tomorrow night at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN, also available on Watch ESPN. Monday Night Football. Back at Texas Motor Speedway, Jimmie Johnson putting a whooping on the field here. Inside the Quicken Loans ESPN Pit Studio, I'm Nicole with Rusty and Brad. If you were watching Green Flag Pit Stops just a few seconds ago, you may have noticed there is a key word to the day, and that is loose. Rusty, tell me why if teams aren't able to control it now, they could be in deep trouble when it gets dark.
Yeah, they really can. Right here in the Central Time Zone, the sun's going to set around 5:37 p.m., guys, and what's going to happen as this track temperature cools down, these cars have a tendency to get loose as the track temperature gets cooler. So it's going to get cooler and cooler, and right now we're hearing just tons of talk, Brad, about loose race cars out there.
Yeah, we really are, and that goes back to Brad Keselowski talking earlier about wanting to see the track get slick. Well, he was talking about the heat. Well, this is going to get slick because these race cars, like Rusty's saying, they're going to get looser and looser and harder to drive with these significant speeds. We could see the guys who prepared for that run really well.
So on the flip side of having a loose race car, Jimmie Johnson is pretty happy with his car right now, with about 92 reasons why.
He's not loose.
Many laps that he's led.
He's not loose.
What does he have to do to maintain that car?
Well, I think Chad Knaus is smart enough to know that the track conditions are cooling down. He's got a good car that seems to be sucking up all the track temperature problems and issues, and is looking good right now. I see Chad really keeping up with it, but the one thing Jimmie's got going for him right now, he's got a fast car under many changing conditions. So I believe he's in pretty good shape. But what I need to tell everybody is stay adjusting on these cars. Stay up with the track. That's the big thing, that if you don't do that, that can get you in big trouble late in this race.
Yeah, and it looks like all of our chasers have done that thus far. You know, all of the chasers, except for Carl Edwards, are inside that top 11, so they're all running pretty well.
Gotta be some disappointed people back in that 99 camp, Alan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No disappointment at all in the 48 team's camp, though, so far in this race, as Jimmie has opened up a 2.7-second lead on Kevin Harvick. It was 1.3 seconds before the pit stops over Jeff Gordon, who was the second-place runner. And now Gordon is catching Harvick again to try and reclaim the runner-up position. Here are Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman racing for 4th and 5th. The 2 guys in the championship group that have yet to win this year, but both running up in the top 5 in this race and showing a lot of strength.
Yeah, now once again, if they're able to maintain that consistency that we see Gordon here now retake that second spot from Kevin Harvick. But if Kenseth and Newman are able to do that, they'll be in great shape heading into Phoenix next weekend.
Harvick falling back to 3rd now and losing a little ground to the race lead.
Sideways, put off the ground, sideways. That's horrible loose. Careful, man.
Yeah, there's no faster way and more frustrating thing than around here. And this racetrack being so fast, we saw that qualifying lap at over 200 miles an hour, and even though they're not doing that, it's still extremely fast around here. And if you're off just a little bit, especially that loose side, you can see Harvick really battling this race car. You just can't go. You try to go any faster, then all you're going to do is create a worse situation by crashing the car.
They seem really working that steering wheel, and I can't imagine they're turning the car right going almost 200 miles an hour. I was wondering if you hear that intensity in his voice.
Still got a lot of racing to do today, though. Not even halfway yet in this one, as Ryan Newman goes around the outside of Matt Kenseth to take 4th place. Temperatures dropped about 2 degrees air temperature since the race started, at least according to the weather app that I use. And we'll see how much more it does drop as we get toward the checkered flag, just to kind of follow up on what Rusty was talking about before.
I've been really impressed with this 31 team and their steady improvement basically all season long. Luke Lambert's one of the sharpest young crew chiefs in the garage area, and I think he and Newman have really started to gel.
Yeah, you said it there, Andy. They have a really good relationship, a lot of respect between this driver and crew chief. Luke Lambert, I have a tremendous amount of respect for. In his short period of time being a crew chief, especially here in the Cup Series, just an outstanding job. And have someone like Ryan Newman, the experience that he has and the understanding of it, they are just really, really a good team. And that's showing up here. And they could find themselves at Homestead battling for a championship there.
And when I talk to Luke, you know, he's talking about how they've just been consistent and being right there. And he grins when we talk about it. It's like, hey, I'm not changing anything. We're going to keep just staying on our deal. It might be that we have a car good enough to win, but we're going to try to just keep putting up these solid finishes and see how far it'll take us. We think it'll take us all the way, is what he's telling me.
So Ryan Newman, a 17-time winner in his NASCAR Sprint Cup Series career, looking for his first this year and looking for a way to get into the championship round in just a couple of more weeks. Coming up on halfway here at Texas Motor Speedway and Race 8 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Our telecast today presented by Federated Auto Parts. A very clean and green race so far with just one caution flag that came out back at lap 42 and Josh Wise popped the turn 2 wall. Other than that, all green flag racing and almost all Jimmie Johnson leading the race. So the picture as they run in the race, to illustrate a couple of things, you were talking about breathing easier going into Phoenix next week. At 1 point per position, even if they have the kind of days they're having now for Gordon and Newman and these kind of guys, that still isn't breathing very easy at Phoenix, is it?
No, I hope I said easier. Because there's going to be nothing easy about trying to point your way next week. But there are drivers that you can see the experience in those first 3 in particular that understand that situation and can make that happen.
And then the other guy to think about is Kevin Harvick, who as he races now is in 3rd position on the track, but is still 24 points out of a place in the championship. And it just, I think I'm using your words here, Andy, when we were talking about it earlier, but illustrates the mountain he has to climb to try and get in.
It just shows you that he's not going to have the option of pointing his way into the final. He has to win today or next week at Phoenix, and I think I know they feel the pressure. They've had a car at times today that looked like it's a winning race car, but right now I don't think he does. I think they have to adjust on it some.
So Harvick running in 3rd place, 4 seconds behind Jimmie Johnson. So there is Jimmie, who has led now 109 of 166 laps today, halfway next time by, and interesting to hear this on the radio a minute ago.
Doing a great job, Jimmie. 24 is running about 2.5 seconds faster than that. Can you go faster or not?
No, not really. Try not to be too abusive.
Okay, so what would I need to do to try to help you out there?
More rear grip. It's, I know we're trying to balance the entry, but up throttle, I feel like it's a little abusive.
Now, is it just me, or was the tone of that conversation vastly different than the one we picked up at Charlotte a few weeks ago when they were struggling to try and stay in the championship?
No, I would have to agree 100%. It's amazing what a car out front will, how much it changes your tones. Even though it might not be perfect right now, that was very civil conversation that we had there, and we could play that versus a lot of the words being cut out that were used at Charlotte in trying to listen to the conversation.
But it was still
going to go through
the same conversation.
Yes.
You want to try to figure out how to make the car better, even when you're out front.
Jimmie said here this weekend, you know, we haven't had much fun in the last couple of months. We've always performed better when we're having fun and we make better decisions in that space. He said, we're trying to enjoy these last few races and get ready for next season. They're having the most fun today.
Yeah, it's kind of which one comes first. I mean, running good and then you have fun, or having fun then run good. I mean, anybody can have fun when you're out front.
Yeah, and we have such high expectations for this driver and this team and what they should accomplish. And when they're not doing that, then we think the very worst, and we try to, everybody starts jumping on the fact, okay, well, this is going to be it for Chad and Jimmie. You hear a conversation like they had at Charlotte, the frustration coming out. That's going to be it. They can't work together anymore. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. You just sometimes make these people more determined. You can't possibly win all the time. The winningest driver in this NASCAR series, in the high series, Richard Petty, won 200 times, but I think he lost over 1,000 times. So you can't always do that. And so it's not going to be all rosy every time, but you can see the championship caliber they are to come back in a situation like this and be dominant once again.
And I still think it's fun to see Chad wearing that red vest over the fire seat up there on the pit box. So a dominant day so far from Jimmie, but we're just across halfway in the AAA Texas 500, and Jeff Gordon is reeling him in these last few laps, little bits at a time, but he has closed the gap just a little. 6-time racing 4-time at Texas. Caution for debris at Texas, ending a 129 lap stretch of green flag racing. Went through 2 rounds of green flag pit stops. Now we're going to do one under the yellow flag. Down to just 14 cars on the lead lap, and here they are, Vince.
Jimmie Johnson says he's lost the ability to hook the corner like he was able to do earlier in the race, so it's gotten a little too tight center, so they're making a chassis adjustment, track bar and wedge on the right-hand side, 4 tires and Sunoco fuel. Doc?
Jeff Gordon said tight landing and off, can't move it up because the car's so tight. They're going to put the air pressure back where it was half round on the track bar. Now, Kevin Harvick said horrible loose, car bouncing, very loose, trying to hang on. Chassis adjustment, 4 tires. Jamie.
Ryan Newman was running 5th, tight in and free on exit, but really good. That's the first time I've heard that today from any of these drivers in my section. So Ryan Newman very happy with the car. Great stop, 4 tires, filled him up with fuel.
Jeff Gordon's crew gave it a good run, but Jimmie Johnson won the race off pit road by that much. Okay, by this much. About a half a car length. So across halfway here at Texas Motor Speedway today, time for ESPN's NASCAR Nonstop.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Texas, presented by Federated Auto Parts, is brought to you by Sylvania Silver Star Ultra Headlights, Chevrolet, Find New Roads, and Diet Mountain Dew. Drink Diet Dew. It's the only diet with dew in it, and only diet for Dale Jr.
Went through the whole first half of the race with just 1 yellow flag. Now under the second caution here at Texas Motor Speedway with Jimmie Johnson, the race leader, and our ESPN in-race reporter Matt Kenseth running 5th.
Hey, Matt, Dale Jarrett, you good to talk?
It's 2 you talking about. Go ahead.
Hey, Matt, just wondering about your race car. I saw you lead a lot there at the very beginning. Track change. How's your car?
We're trying to get it. We took off pretty good with a clean track, and then as I rubbered up, we basically just got tight. So we're just trying to, get the front tires working here a little bit better for the last lap of the race.
Do you expect this track to do much changing here in the later portions as it gets a little bit cooler?
I think it will. I'm hoping it frees back up a little bit, but I'm not really sure.
Okay, thanks for talking. Good luck.
Matt Kenseth running 5th as we get the 1 to go. Jimmie Johnson, the leader, will have Jeff Gordon to his outside for this restart.
So early on that run, Harvick struggled. Newman's medium, behind him, Matt's medium. You 2 up front here are the best 2 long-range cars. I think you were better than him long-range that run.
Yeah. They're fighting loose off, these guys.
Eddie DeHaan, the spotter, offering his observations to Jeff, who agrees with the assessment.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that Jeff said that they're struggling to loose off. He's paying attention. So you guys kind of look for the weak spot of your competition.
That's what you want to know, and sounded like that he's pretty comfortable with his car on the exit of the corner. Maybe, if anything, just a little bit on that tight side.
Jeff started on the outside of the front row, had trouble staying with Matt Kenseth from that outside front row spot. They've just waved off the restart, so it's going to be another lap of caution before we go back green flag racing. To retrieve whatever that is. bare bond tape or something that came off one of the cars.
Yeah, you certainly don't want that on the grill, but sometimes that's attached to possibly aluminum or a piece of metal or something like that, so you got to make sure that that's not what it is.
So 1 to go again here, and it'll be Johnson and Gordon, Harvick and Newman, Kenseth and Junior. The first 3 rows for the restart here. Only expecting the temperature to drop another maybe 2 degrees of air temperature between now and the checkered flag. So be interesting to track that. Vince is with Chad Knaus now.
It's been a very strong effort from the 48 here today. How has the track been changing as the race is progressing, Chad?
Definitely had a lot of rubber laying down all the way around the racetrack, so it's affecting the entry and the exit quite a lot. You can see the guys slipping and sliding as they're coming off the corners, which is pretty exciting. We got a great seat for that, but what it also is doing is making cars pretty tight getting into the corner down into the center. So it's changing an awful lot. It's going to change even more once the sun starts to set, gets a little bit darker. It might free up a little bit, so we just have to see.
Like the red vest, by the way.
Thank you. It's pretty awesome. We're supporting all 260,000 Lowe's employees out there, the guys, the men and the women that wear these vests every single day to work. We're honoring all of you for all of your support and everything you guys have done for us throughout the years.
Well done. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski's running in the 12th position. He's had something going on with the front end of his car. He's been complaining about it. The first run saying he had a vibration and they didn't find a loose wheel. Now the last 2 times they took the tires off, the right front is showing cording. This was just after this last stop. It's the worst they have seen, so they're keeping an eye on the 2 car.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not. Definitely don't want to see that, because we know what comes after that.
Waved off another lap of the restart, so here we get the 1 to go signal for a 3rd time, and we'll see if that's the charm.
And that was a long green flag stretch. That was 129 laps. That's within 11 laps of the longest green flag stretch we've had this season. In Dover, we had 140 laps of green.
All of this comes true is what these drivers and crew chiefs are expecting this racetrack to do. You have to think that Jeff Gordon is in a really, really good spot. His car is kind of where he wants it right now, a little bit to the snug side, I'll call it. Everybody else struggling with a little bit loose. If it gets looser, his car is probably going to be okay, and the others will fight and struggle even more.
Doc?
Yeah, you heard Jeff Gordon talking about the 4 car in front of him, how loose Kevin Harvick was. I mean, Kevin had used words like bouncing, sideways, horrible loose. Hadn't heard him say something like that all race. It got so significant that Rodney Childers, who likes to make subtle changes, opted to take a huge swing this last stop. 1.5 rounds out of the right rear on wedge to tighten up Harvick, see if they can get him a little tighter and get him back where he can drive it in the middle and up off.
Yeah, when you hear Harvick talk about how bad his car is, there's only 3 cars better than him on the track right now.
Blistering speed and frantic action that comes with the fresh tires here at Texas. Last lap just run at 192 miles an hour by the race leader Jimmie Johnson all the way around this 1.5-mile track. Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman. This is for 4th place. Kurt Busch there, 41 in the mix also.
drivers and teams will face too. You talk about that speed. That's only going to increase here as the temperature goes down on the racetrack. So that's what they deal with in trying to negotiate and keep up with the racetrack, adjust their cars to that. Sometimes adjust your driving style a little bit to that.
Yeah, that colder air is a little more dense, and that downforce distribution front to rear on the car really gains a little bit more front downforce, which is what makes the cars freer when it gets cooler. Engine's making more power.
Brad Keselowski racing Paul Menard for 12th and 13th place. Keselowski giving up that spot to Menard. Again, the concerns you saw on the report from Jamie a minute ago after the long green flag run with the vibration and the tire and so on this 2-car. And at 190-something miles an hour, that's certainly not a concern you want to be having.
Still see Brad reaching down beside the seat. I don't know if he's got an air valve on one of the ducts or maybe a switch that he's operating every lap on the straightaway. I thought earlier he was talking about a vibration that he might be trying to diagnose that, but I still see him, doing something. He's working on something in that car every lap.
Down out of view of camera. Brad and this team were one of the first that were really actively working all the switches for the vents and so on, the fans up on the dashboard. And as race teams always are, when someone catches on to what they're doing, they want to put it someplace else they can't see what they're doing.
We almost can't see it, but we can see him working.
So Brad not having the kind of day he was hoping for here in Texas. He was in the hunt for the win in the April race here until the pit stop before the green-white checker finish when he got caught for speeding on pit road. And had to go to the back of the line for that last 2-lap sprint to the checkered flag.
I wouldn't count him out just yet. He's still on the lead lap. Still a long way to go.
Denny Hamlin giving up spots to Austin Dillon and Paul Menard, sliding back. 11 car not handling as well since the restart as he would like. Just about to hit 300 miles in the AAA Texas 500 at Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth. NASCAR.com has updates on your latest NASCAR information. And Jimmie Johnson has reclaimed a record that he gave up earlier in this race. Remember earlier in the race when I said Matt Kenseth had taken over the most laps ever led at Texas category? Well, he took that from Jimmie Johnson, who's now reclaimed it by basically leading since he took the lead from Matt at lap 54. Matt led the first 53 from pole. Jeff Gordon's led 3. Kevin Harvick's led 2 during exchanges of green flag pit stops. Other than that, it has been all 4-8 all the time.
Yeah, I really want to watch this. He's able just to stretch out after he gets new tires on this car. Now we'll be able to see Gordon the last time under the green was able to run the 48 down or start running him down. But they've gained on him, but haven't got to him to pass him yet.
And just 16 laps into this green flag run. Check, I mentioned it, most laps led. Check on that, brought to you by Sprint. Jimmie out in front for 140 of the 198 completed in today's race. Stay connected to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with the Sprint Family Share Pack. 20 gigabytes of high-speed data to share, plus unlimited talk and text for $100 a month. Learn more at sprint.com/datashare. There's the gap, first to second at 300 miles. Jimmie Johnson to Jeff Gordon. Jeff nibbling on the lead a little bit. So that radio traffic we heard with Eddie DeHaan, Jeff Gordon's spotter, talking about, long run cars and so on. Now that we've tipped 15, 17 laps on this set of tires, maybe a little bit of an advantage to the 24 starting to kick in, just a little bit of one.
Yeah, about a tenth and a half now on Jeff Gordon's car. He's a little quicker than Johnson. But like you said, when Johnson's able to pull that second and a half, it's kind of hard to close that and then make the pass for the lead. And Jeff hadn't really been able to do that yet.
Talking about Phoenix next week. and how nerve-wracking that's going to be. Jeff Gordon was one who, in a conversation at Martinsville last week, told me that he just doesn't. If they had a great test at Phoenix, and they feel like they've got a great car and a great chance to win that race, but he was one that said, as nerve-wracking as Talladega was, you just don't, if there's any way you can avoid it, you don't want to go to Phoenix next Sunday and either A, have to win, or B, be riding that point bubble like that up and down all day, because one flat tire, one missed lug nut, somebody jams up a restart late in the race, something happens, and your whole season's picture takes a turn all at once.
Yeah, he told me, Jeff and I talked on Thursday on the way out here, and he was telling me that a restart, being in the wrong lane on a restart late in that race could take you from moving on to battle for a championship to right out of contention. And he was very concerned. He really wanted to get it done. He's very determined to try to get it done here tonight.
I also think that there's a little advantage to being able to focus on the Homestead race and not have to focus on that last race at Phoenix to try to make it down there. So if one of these top 8 or these 8 guys can make the cut, I think it gives them a little advantage that 1 week to prepare for Homestead.
Truex and Hamlin racing for 13th and 14th. We saw Denny give up a few spots in the opening laps of this run. By the way, Brian Vickers is the last car on the lead lap. He got the free pass at that last caution, so Brian is in 15th place. Let's check in on the 11 and see what's going on, Dave.
Nothing but a loose race car, Alan. When he lost those spots after the restart, he was frustrated over the radio, but right now the car is just too free for Denny.
We've heard that story.
Seems to be the consensus today that that's what the drivers that are struggling, that's what they're fighting. And I think that Gordon's car probably is a little tight. He's got a lot of problems here, and that's going
to be a caution. And Michael Annette hits that tire casing.
Yellowed out, carcass.
Okay. And Kyle Busch's bid to win the triple here at Texas gets even more difficult.
Yeah, it looks like he's been against the wall yet again. You can see he had damage earlier, but you can see the tires and all the letters rubbed off on this set also.
Should I write down on my notes the reason for that caution being carcass? I mean,
well, there it is.
Kyle was running a couple laps down in 21st place when his problems continued. I started to mention Kyle won Friday night's Camping World Truck Series race and yesterday's Nationwide Series race. His bid for the triple not going well today, though. Talked about loose race cars. Watch Jimmie's hands.
Whoa. Wow, that was exciting.
Yeah. Classifies as loose, extremely.
Now their pit box is like the #1 pit box coming into the pit, so Chad had a good look at that.
And there's your carcass. Obviously, I was amused by the term. Pit road open here. Vince?
Well, this 48 team has been spot on in the pits today. You saw that loose race car at that time, but Jimmie says despite the fact it started off amazing, it really swung tight on entry, so that's the chassis adjustment they're going to make to try to help it. 4 tires in Sunoco fuel, Doc.
And Jeff Gordon said still tight in, landing tight to the center, a little free off, but the biggest problem is tight. They're going to make an adjustment. May look at a rubber, pulling the rubber out, the left side tires going on. Kevin Harvick, 4 tires, fuel, track bar down. He said still loose. Jamie.
Now, Kenza said he didn't love it, but the balance was a little better that time. He wants to tear off to help see. There's a lot of debris out there. Wipe the grill, Sunoco fuel, 4 tires. He's down and away behind the 48.
Yeah, big gain there for Kenseth and company. And the scoring at the pit exit line. 48-20. And I'll get clarification on that 24-4.
That was close.
Yes, it was. Back at Texas Motor Speedway Live under the yellow flag with Jimmie Johnson holding the lead on this exchange of pit stops. The caution coming out when Kyle Busch had a right rear tire flat and left debris on the racetrack from that tire. Tonight on SportsCenter, it will be Lauryn Hill's first and perhaps final college basketball game, but her mission's only beginning. Tom Rinaldi sharing the inspiring message in a moving story of triumph in the midst of tragedy. It's one more game, a new SportsCenter featured, premiering tonight at 11 Eastern here on ESPN. That game was this afternoon. It will be a must-see story, and that is late tonight on SportsCenter. So getting ready for the double up signal here on a restart. Going to have some cars taking a wave around to see if they can get a quick caution and try and get back in the cycle of things. None will get back on the lead lap of these cars you see passing the pace car. Free pass at the caution was Jamie McMurray. He is back on the lead lap in 16th place. Doc?
Down here with Alan Gustafson. And Alan, every time Jeff needs something, you seem to dial it in. He's been talking about being tight, middle of tight landing. And you made some adjustments, but it's still free off. How difficult is it to fix that?
You know, it's just always a challenge. The track conditions change, where we're at on the track and the traffic are different. So, and we're racing different cars. You know, Jimmie's got a lot of front end speed, and we've got to work on that. But we just got to keep plugging away. Everybody's on this driving to Hunger Chevy's doing a great job, and Jeff's doing a great job. So just try to get it better every stop and fly it all we can.
All right, let's check in with Jamie.
With Jason Ratcliffe on the 20 pit box. Great pit stop there. You guys gained 2 spots. You're second now. How do you expect the balance of this car to benefit you guys, or not so much as it cools off here in the closing laps?
Well, you know, we took off really good there. Matt was really happy with the car. Seemed like a first or maybe the second stop, it kind of got away from us a little bit, lost the handle on it. The last run there, he was a little more pleased with it. So we think we found some speed again. The pit crew's been doing a nice job. So I like where we're sitting right now. You know, starting on the front row here, we should get a decent read on where our car's at as it starts transitioning. You can feel it cooling off. Obviously, I just put my jacket on. But I like where we're sitting. We've been chasing a little bit, and I think a lot of it's probably the wind as well. But we're in good shape right here.
And we're going green, Alan.
Kevin Harvick struggling. Andy, I know you were wanting to see Matt Kenseth restarting on the outside lane to make a better judgment of where you thought he stood on that launch.
Yeah, well, it did look like that inside lane has an advantage, but I thought Matt held up pretty good on the outside, even with that, like I said, maybe a little dirtier lane.
Yeah.
But I've seen some, you know, looks like they've got a little more steam under the hood of these Toyotas.
You just don't want to restart out there. You know, and part of what we're seeing too is some of these drivers understanding that they don't want to put themselves in that position to race the guy that's in third, so they give a little bit and try to get down in there in behind the leader. They know that they're not going to get the lead from that second spot.
So Johnson and Gordon 1 and 2 getting away from this race for 3rd, 4th, and 5th off of turn 2, actually all the way through turns 1 and 2 on that first lap of the restart. Kevin Harvick really had a handful with that 4 car.
Yeah, it's almost like that he'd picked up some stuff on his tires and didn't get cleaned off, because if he drove off into 1 there, it just didn't do anything he was wanting. He's trying to battle his way back now, but they did make some big adjustments, so could have possibly something that they did there with low air pressures made that splitter hit is the one thing that I could think of that could have been an issue for him.
Watch Kevin here in that outside lane.
I've got to believe that was part of it, that you could see when he hit the bump that's there that goes now from the bottom all the way to the top track where the tunnel is down in 1 and 2. And once that does, that's like he's lifting the front tires off the ground. You can't go.
Yeah, those other cars weren't cutting any slack. Ready to pounce.
Don't believe it's their job to.
No, sir.
One thing that's cost him is he really lost touch with those front two as Gordon's really up trying to take the lead away here now.
new leader, Jeff Gordon. Or at least will be when he comes back around.
Tires now, nice and smooth. 117 to go with the one.
It's amazing it's taking this long for the 24 to get the lead. It looks like he's had kind of the best car overall when you look at the full run all day long. But Jimmie had that short run speed, was able to keep that lead for so long.
Little life out of this 22 car here as we get toward the later stages of the race. Joey Logano up to 4th place, pressuring Matt Kenseth for 3rd.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot from Joey Logano and Todd Gordon, making good adjustments. A really good combination between the two of them, finding themselves up in the mix at the end of a lot of these races.
Talked about Penske power on NASCAR Countdown earlier today, how on the 1.5-mile tracks, Joey and his teammate Brad Keselowski have been so strong and done so much winning this season. There is Logano up to 3rd place in pursuit of what would be a season sweep here at Texas if he can take home the trophy again today.
Yeah, we had that conversation a little earlier in the race, how this 22, which is kind of average, has kind of struggled a little bit in practice and not really shown much. But, you know, I had confidence that this team, this combination of Todd Gordon and Joey Logano, we're going to be part of the mix before this one's over today.
Checking the grill and the front end opening on the 4 car of Kevin Harvick.
Nothing on the grill? Yeah, we got a piece. Got if we catch the 22, I get the 41 up there. Whatever you want to do, if we can.
Seeing if he can tuck in behind Matt Kenseth and get that cleaned off, Doc.
Try to get that trash off there to help it balance a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, Rodney Childers just told him, he said, you cannot get that water temperature over 290. Keep an eye on that gauge. Remember, back in April here, they blew an engine and finished 42nd. They can ill afford to have that happen. So he's trying to get the debris off by sliding it behind the 20, also with one eye on the water temperature.
It looks like it could possibly be a piece of tape, and if it's got kind of the sticky side on up against the grill there, that won't come off easy.
Yeah, we're talking about the balance. You heard him say on the radio that would help the balance to get it off. Anything tape or debris on the grill does put a little more downforce on the front.
There it went.
Yep.
Got it right there.
Got it off.
Nice job by Harvick.
I think it's off.
Well, he had to work hard right there to get the right position to get as close as he could to the 20 car.
And again, racing around Matt Kenseth.
But now he can forgive Matt. He helped him out right there.
Yeah.
You think it's all? Get some trash off the grill. He's not messing with you half back.
And radio to Matt there from the spotter saying he's not messing with you. He's just trying to get some trash off the grill. It just is amazing. I know we've talked about this before, but how in this sport it always happens. Tangle with somebody 1 week, there's something laying on the back stretch. The front stretch, rather, toward turn 1.
Yeah, they're going to get that off the track, so looks like it might be a side skirt.
There's the caution.
Clear, caution's out for debris. Turn 1. It's a pretty big
That's
piece.
a piece of grill.
Stay low.
Yeah.
One of those Ford grills, the decorative piece that goes in the nose insert on the Ford grill. So somebody's missing one.
I think it might be Carl Edwards. Yep, came off a 99 car right there.
No, that's a problem. And so a yellow flag out to pick it up again. Just pitted at lap 206. 13 laps of green flag racing.
I see a lot of 4-tire changes right here.
Okay.
They have tires.
Kyle Larson gets the free pass. 17th place car coming back around. Does anybody try and steal some track position?
No. I don't think so. I think tires just too valuable.
Here they are. Vince?
Very few complaints from Jimmie Johnson today, but the one thing he has mentioned the last couple of stops that he needs help with is just help in the center of the corner, getting the car to turn, set and turn. So Chad Knaus gives him a chassis adjustment to try to help for fresh Goodyear stock.
And lower left corner, Jeff Gordon's car had been tight, gotten much better with adjustments they made the last time. It'll be 4 tires there. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick says, got to tighten me up, guys. Still loose. You know, an adjustment on Harvick to get him tighter. Jamie.
Joey Logano said he was good on exit that time, and that really helped him get that track position and move into second. 4-tire stop, and they filled him up for the 22.
Well, I said you weren't going to see any strategy, but it looks like we did see some from Denny Hamlin. We'll see how it works out for him.
Yeah, I've never think of a car that's not handling well putting 2 tires on it.
We're going to find out. Denny Hamlin will be the new leader here at Texas Motor Speedway. In Fort Worth, race number 8 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Texas Motor Speedway. Looking down on this beautiful facility from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Doubled up for the restart, down to Dave Burns.
Denny Hamlin took 2 right side tires on that pit stop. When I checked in with crew chief Darian Grubb this morning, Darian told me I'd only do 2 if I was desperate. Well, I gave him a knowing look during this caution, and he just kind of rolled his eyes at me. They will get a bonus point for leading a lap here, but they've not run any higher than 9th today. Kind of throwing the long bomb here at the end. See what Denny can do with just these 2 right side tires, AB.
Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart took waiver rounds to get back on the lead lap and see where this shakes out for Denny Hamlin here as we go back green.
Could be the only scenario where the outside lane is good when the inside car only has 2 tires.
That's 6 places in a lap as Jeff Gordon goes back to the lead. Kenseth and Logano for second. Jimmie Johnson right behind them. 3 wide there. Kenseth bailed on that. And I can't blame him.
No, didn't see much future in that.
Whoop, trouble up in turn 4. That was Casey Kane that got into Brad Keselowski with a slide up the racetrack. They all get away with it. And we stay under green. Watch 5 and 2.
Yeah, Casey just got loose, chased it up into the side of Keselowski. Brad does a good job to keep it out of the wall.
Yeah, and he'll be lucky that it didn't cut the left rear tire down.
Inside.
So that could have been a big problem for Brad Keselowski. Still eligible in the championship, but he gets away with it and runs in 15th place.
Yeah, you see Denny Hamlin right there on the inside. He started on the pole on this restart after taking 2 tires. He was running 9th before they pitted. He's now 11th and losing more. It'll be tough for him to stay on the lead lap this run if it goes very long.
That's just how much fresh rubber's worth here.
I have to really question that call from Darian Grubb. They were in a pretty decent position with an average car, not a great car. This puts you in a really bad spot if it goes green.
Second place here, Jimmie Johnson has broken free of the traffic and now goes by Joey Logano. Jimmie had the misfortune of being the guy lined up on the inside of row 2 behind Denny Hamlin on that green flag and had to wait for an opening to move up into the outside lane and around him. And for 4th place.
They can't get away from each other, can they?
It's every restart for sure.
All day long.
Like maybe they've got Harvick's car tightened up a little bit for him. how that progresses and if he's able to continue to move forward throughout this run.
So Jeff Gordon and Jimmie Johnson back to first and second in this one. For a long time, it was 24 chasing 48. Then just before the yellow, Jeff went by, and it was 48 chasing 24, as it is now.
Well, that's the interesting thing is, you know, we freed it up, and I wasn't very good, but I was rolling the bottom, and I stuck to it. And that's when we started gaining on all those guys. And ever since then, I was using the bottom and doing it successfully until this last run, it didn't work.
Obviously, the calm, quiet nature of that transmission. It came in under the caution a few minutes ago. Jimmie Johnson also trying to size up where he stands versus the competition.
So, Jimmie, one thing I was just sitting here watching, it looks like the 24 consistently exits turn 4 lower than most people. I don't know if there's some fresher asphalt down there, maybe. Just something to maybe look into a little bit later as we go.
Chad Knaus with that first pit box at the entrance to pit road off of turn 4. So talking about the view he has of the cars coming off the corner and something he observed from there.
Yeah, it could be just the fact that Jimmie is having to chase the back end of the car off the corner and maybe not even able to run down where Jeff is.
And I can tell you, since that transmission was done, which we heard went back prior to the last caution, Jimmie Johnson hasn't been as good as his 24 if he's trying to do that. And I've seen him run lower trying to get off the corner there. So it'll be interesting to see if Jimmie goes back to what he had and trying to make that speed, especially at the beginning of a run.
Heard from Matt Kenseth's crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, about where their car stood. Well, Matt sliding back. Ryan Newman just went by him to pick up 5th place and kick the 20 back to 6th.
Okay, that 31 of Newman, they're just not going away, are they? They're just going to keep staying right there within striking distance and try to point their way into that final. All the RCR cars are actually running pretty well. You can throw in the 78, that's an RCR car and engine customer. They're all in the top 11.
Newman running in 5th, Paul Menard running in 7th, Austin Dillon running in 11th, and Martin Truex, as you mentioned, running in 10th position. 96 laps to go. Texas Motor Speedway. Jeff Gordon out in front in race 8 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Can he get a huge victory in another hour or so?
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action from Texas Motor Speedway, pitting under yellow for Jimmie Johnson. Says the car's just a little bit freer off. No changes, a little air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. Doc.
Jeff Gordon, 4 tires in the field, very important to get the clean air and beat the 48 off pit road. They're going to make a left rear chassis adjustment. Kevin Harvick still needs to be tightened up a little bit. Left side tires going on the 4 car. Jamie.
Joey Logano said that it didn't feel much better. They made a track bar adjustment then, so they're trying a wedge adjustment this time. 4 tires. He's down at 14 seconds.
Lead change on the pit stops. Jimmie Johnson back around Jeff Gordon to the #1 spot. Caution for debris in turn 4. Watch the front end of Matt Kenseth's car. Bang! Whatever it was, he hit it. And that, the reason for yellow flag number 5. 91 laps to go at Texas Motor Speedway. Doubled up for the restart here at Texas in the AAA Texas 500 that's going to come with 88 laps to go. Jimmie Johnson, now the control car for the restart, got out of pit road ahead of Jeff Gordon.
Hey, Eddie, did he make much time up on us getting to his box there? 48, yeah. He's coming strong to his box. He actually went inside of us coming to the line. Yeah, he's got a pretty good advantage.
That first pit stall at pit in. And Jimmie Johnson trying to take every advantage he can. And it got him the lead. And now as the control car on the restart, Jeff Gordon forced to that outside lane by Jimmie.
The 48 crew did a nice job too. 11-second pit stop there.
Kevin Harvick looked inside of Kenseth, forces Gordon 3 wide. Getting a little intense here.
Well, laps are winding down. That's going to only pick up from here.
Keselowski 2, Vickers 55. That's 13th and 14th. A.J. Allmendinger got the free pass at the caution. He's on the lead lap. Boyer, Annette, Kyle Busch, Ambrose, and Allgaier took wave arounds to get back on the lead lap. 22 on the lead lap here.
Harvick's got a sniff of that lead now.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah. So Harvick up to second on the shuffle. Danica Patrick off the pace back straightaway. Something dragging.
And in the fence.
Yep.
Got a right front down.
We stay under green.
I have to think in this situation, Jeff Gordon is probably a big fan of Jimmie Johnson. Try to maybe hold this 4-car off and not be able to punch a ticket to Homestead, because I think Jeff would have to believe that this 4-car is in that final. That's got to be one of his biggest competitors.
He is, but Jeff Gordon's going to be back up there battling for the lead before these 80 couple of laps are gone.
Yeah, we're not done with the yellow flag either, I don't believe. Here's third place. Gordon easily by Kenseth. 1.6 seconds to make up for Jeff to catch Jimmie Johnson.
He was the quickest car.
Caution. Debris from turn number 2. Perhaps from the 10 car.
All right, now this is going to pose a little bit of a problem. They've only been a few laps since they changed tires. Yeah, she's shedding parts. She's been in the wall pretty hard.
And so yellow flag number 6 comes out and brings Jeff Gordon right back up to Kevin Harvick and Jimmie Johnson. Kevin poked the nose under Matt Kenseth going into turn 1 on that last restart. Kenseth was already inside Jeff Gordon. Well, Matt had, for all the prior conversations and more, had to move up a little bit and give Kevin some room, or Kevin was going to take it.
Well, he was taking it anyway, Kevin was.
Yep, and that forced Jeff Gordon out wide and had to check up a little bit and then dropped him back some.
They have enough tires to come to pit road again?
I think so. We had a really long run of about 130 laps, 129 laps early in the race. And that actually saved a few sets of tires.
Be up to the pit crews to decide this again.
Come on, bud. Do it. Come on.
Almost everybody pitted. Keselowski stays out, Vince.
They made the call late. Just 4 tires, no changes for Jimmie Johnson. He says the car's pretty good for him on exit. Doc?
Jeff Gordon said just a little bit snug landing, but really not bad at all. We're pretty good. He's going to come in and put tires on it and gas. The 4-car, Kevin Harvick, but no adjustment previous time. I guess half around in the left rear they're talking about for the 4-car, 4 tires of fuel. Jamie.
And Matt Kenseth said he's just too tight. He couldn't carry momentum into the corner. So they decided to come in. They followed the leaders in a 4-tire stop here for Matt to fill him up with Sunoco fuel. A little bit longer stop than we're used to seeing here. Must have had a slower problem on the right side. 18 seconds for the 20.
That was a disaster.
Wow.
For Matt Kenseth and company. Another look at that coming up. Keselowski stays out and takes the lead.
Welcome back to Texas Motor Speedway. Our race today presented by Federated Auto Parts. Brad Keselowski on a strategy play is out front right now. Hello to you from inside the Quicken Loans ESPN Pit Studio. I'm Nicole with Rusty and Brad. Time to get caught up on what's happened so far because a number of chasers have had either interesting days or interesting calls on pit road. This is the 5-Hour Energy Rapid Recap. We start with pit road strategy from Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I didn't like that strategy at all, but he had to do something. He came in, he put 2 tires on the number 11 car. He got out first, but I'll tell you what, they relined up in that restart, and those 2 tires did not work. He went to the back of the pack real fast. In fact, I think he lost like 6 positions in 2 laps.
More than that, from 14th to 1st with the pit call, back to 14th in about 10 laps.
Yeah, it was just the wrong call. That car hadn't been strong all day. Trying to take a chance wasn't the thing to do. And then we see on this restart here, Casey Kane get into Brad Keselowski, just slides up the racetrack. Brad Keselowski's charging as hard as he can to get to the front. We see it right now by not coming in, but Casey got into him.
Under our 6th caution of the day, pit stops from Matt Kenseth. Disastrous stop.
Yeah, bad
seconds.
stop. Big problem on the right front corner. It looks like a lug nut fell off. They went to put it back on, and somehow it jammed up. The right front tire chains are working really hard to get it fixed. Matt is frustrated right there. At that point, they're hoping they could have called that off to just a right side tire stop, but the left rear lug nut was already off. He had to go for 4 tires. That's putting way back an 18-second pit stop. It's putting Matt Kenseth all the way back to 18th right now. Big loss for him.
He had been running 4th. So let's go back to the strategy. Brad Keselowski has not been the strongest car all day. We saw what happened when Denny Hamlin came in and took 2 tires. What do we expect from Keselowski now that he didn't stop at all?
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of the same thing. He hasn't had the speed that he thought he was going to have throughout the day. That car has not been up to snuff, but what we're used to seeing out of that 2 car. So I think he's going to struggle up front, but it's something you have to try. You don't know what's going to happen behind you. Maybe there's another caution. Maybe you get to come down pit road then, put those tires on. You have to gamble.
I agree with Brad. I really do on that one. The car's just off the day. I thought it would be much, much better. Holding off that 48 car, Jimmie Johnson's going to be a tough one. He's a non-chaser, trying to spoil the party. I believe right now the 2 car's not as good as he needs to be.
Let's go down to pit road. Jamie Little?
Well, Nicole, we showed the reaction with the onboard camera of Matt Kenseth. This is what he said on the radio.
I didn't want to talk over you there, but I wish you would have called that off to 2. I couldn't, man. He had the left rear lug nuts off. Oh, okay. Holler, when I thought he was there a while, but yeah, I didn't know what was going on back there. All right.
And what was happening on that right front, a lug nut fell off and got wedged in the hub. So you saw the guy, he did his best. He got it back on. It took too long. Remember, Matt came in 4th. He's restarting 18th, Alan.
All right, Jamie, thanks. Same situation we saw for Jeff Gordon earlier in the race, but cost Matt Kenseth a lot of ground at a critical point in the competition. Sent him all the way back to 18th place from 4th as we get ready to restart with what will be 76 laps to go. Doc?
Rodney Childers making a call for Kevin Harvick. Kevin said the car's been very free, very loose all day. You've been getting closer and closer, another half around a wedge. How close are you to being able to run with a 48 and 24?
Yeah, we just missed our balance a little bit for today. Been too free all day, but we keep getting closer every stop. Kevin's done a good job. The guys have done a good job on pit road. So hopefully we can keep adjusting on it here and have something for the 48 at the end.
All right, getting closer for the 4 car.
And for Brad Keselowski in the 2 car, he'll be the leader on this restart after not pitting under this yellow flag.
Just do our best. All we can hope for is a bunch of cautions. Guys only have 2 more sets left. We'll have 1 extra at this point.
Paul Wolf with something to keep in mind if we do get a bunch of cautions in these final 76 laps. Jimmie Johnson or Jeff Gordon, who's going to be second and the first one to try and challenge the 2?
Yeah, I think Gordon's going to win out on that battle down on the bottom side. Harvick looking to take the 3rd spot.
I'm pretty impressed with the 2 car being able to hold the lead, at least for a lap. We'll see how long he can hold it.
Wonder if a sniff of clean air transforms the handling of this 2 car in some significant way.
Yeah, it had to, because he's got about 8 green flag laps more on his tires than these other cars. And he's not really been that good a car today.
No, but you might have a combination of the clean air that you're talking about and then the conditions maybe changing to his liking now for his car. But I think the clean air probably has way more to do with it than anything else right at this point.
Well, I'm impressed with how well it's performed to this point in his run.
Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin. This is all the way back for 13th and 14th. Greg Biffle, they are also challenging for a spot after the wave around worked out for the Biff a little while ago. Gordon going to try the higher line now. See if he can get some clean air on the nose of his car and get a run at Keselowski.
Talk about just a difference. We see the 2 car who's been mired back there outside of the top 10 most of the day, up there right around that. But then you take Matt Kenseth, who's been in the top 5 most of the day, restart way back there. Where's he running 20th right now? Doesn't look like he can pass hardly anybody.
Actually lost 2 spots since the restart, Kenseth did. Keselowski actually ran the fastest lap of anyone in the field last circuit by.
Here, and it carries off.
Yeah, I mean, that's just really impressive. With those extra laps on the tires, if he can hold on for about 10 or 15 laps here, even if Gordon passes him, hold on to 2nd or 3rd, this will turn out to be a huge advantage, this Coliseum.
You drive away by 2. He comes back to the center when he runs that middle lane, and by 1, he has momentum. He'll be in line tight. Bottom lane inside.
Now, NASCAR Race Control has just informed its officials down on pit road to inform crew chiefs that they may have the option to go to Goodyear and mount an extra set of tires. First come, first serve on however many are available. I don't know the number that are available, but I'll bet there's a lot of crew chiefs sending guys scurrying to the tire shop right now.
Yeah, that's significant because they have changed a lot of tires. I think most of the teams have about 2 sets left, but if we see a rash of yellow, these teams will want more tires. Looks like Gordon got a run now.
Staying even with you.
I am so impressed with this 2 car, how he's able to hold off Gordon this long.
Driving your guts out. Gonna hang tight left side.
Jeff actually led that last lap by a smidge. But I don't think he's going to lead this one.
The longer they run, the more equal they'll become on these tires. I bet you could have polled the crew chiefs on pit road and say, how long do you think the 2 car will lead by staying out? And not one of them would have gave you more than 1 lap.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have thought that down the back straightaway that he would have probably lost that.
Yeah.
The lead.
Pretty amazing.
We've seen him do some amazing things, though.
look at the tire guys.
Yeah, they're having a sale down at Goodyear. Supplies are limited, though.
The teams keep tires and wheels. Goodyear keeps, and they'll have sets down there on racks and so on. So as these guys show up, they'll get tires mounted up, and the tire busters will be busy inside the garage there, which is tucked down behind the pit lane, just off the exit of turn 4. As Kurt Busch and Jamie McMurray race for a spot. That'll be 11th and 12th McMurray getting back on the lead lap a little while ago with a free pass. That was at lap 205, excuse me. Not the day that McMurray or Kyle Larson were hoping or figuring to have here at Texas. McMurray running in 12th. Larson is down in 18th.
Certainly not either one of them, but as I look just ahead of them, the 3-car of Austin Dillon has really made nice gains over the last few weeks. I've seen a lot more strength out of that 3-car. I know the whole organization is getting better, but this young driver as a rookie is getting more acclimated to this racing and really doing a nice job, completing a lot of laps, getting a lot faster on a weekly basis, especially at the end of these races.
Now, I think it is company-wide. I mean, we're looking right now at all 3 of the RCR cars inside the top 10. And this 3-car looks really good today, Dave.
And he does, and DJ mentioned the laps completed. He leads that category in the series with 99.75 of all possible laps completed this year. Gil Martin talked to me about that a few weeks ago. He said, yeah, it's not real sexy. He hasn't won a race, hasn't led a lot of laps, but if we don't let him be on the track, finish all those laps, then his second year becomes another rookie year. He's got to be out there learning, running laps, and Austin Dillon's doing that again today as he gets by Junior.
Dale Jr. there for 8th place, trying to fight back and see if he can rally back around Austin Dillon, but it's going to be Dillon who will take that spot and now try and drive away if he can.
Now we're in this window now. If the caution comes out, everybody will probably come and get 4 tires again. And look where this 2-car's still out front. It's going to be a huge advantage for him to have made that call to stay out.
Jimmie Johnson trying to fend off Kevin Harvick for 3rd. Both of them have closed in on Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, the conditions changing have brought a lot more people into the mix right now. This is going to be a different race than what we saw and what we were kind of anticipating, besides a couple of drivers trying to figure out how they were going to beat this 48 car, Jimmie Johnson. Now we've got a host of them that are going to be right there.
Gordon just drove around the outside of Johnson there.
I thought that the way that the lap cars kind of presented themselves in the corner, I think it kind of took away the line Jimmie was hoping to run in the turn, and it looked like he had to hesitate for a minute. That's just me looking, not having driven a car here at Texas. But that's sure what it looked like.
Not sure of the adjustments they made on the 48, keeping up with the track, and as others have been able to make their car a little better.
Gordon's going to start pressing this 2-car a little harder because he looks in his mirror and he sees now that he's got Kevin Harvick kind of on the charge. So a little bobble out of the 2-car that lap.
Got to run here.
Somebody with Gordon's experience knew it was only kind of a matter of time. So you sit back there and wait and know that the more you run, the better position you should be in. Now he's able to take the lead. Hard to beat experience and a lot of talent put together.
Yeah, it's a good comment and a good car. So Jeff Gordon back out in front. Still remarkable result for Keselowski so far with Paul Wolf's call to stay out from 12th position and take the lead on tires that had a few laps on them. We'll see how that plays into the outcome of the race as we still have 58 laps to go. Jeff Gordon, in search of another win at Texas Motor Speedway, has the race lead. Want to see a championship day almost go away in the blink of an eye. Close call for Jeff Gordon a minute ago. Ran up on Reed Sorensen, who ran up on Danica Patrick. And the rubber and the bits that lay on the track were flying, but Jeff Gordon hung on to it and avoided any major contact.
Yeah, you want to know something that's even better than that? I looked at the lap time. His lap was actually quicker than Harvick's was in second.
So Gordon out in front by 1.8 seconds over Kevin Harvick. It's been so long ago, it's almost hard to remember. But remember on the lap 43 pit stops when Jeff lost 6 positions from 4th to 10th, but had what was possibly a race-saving moment by his front tire changer.
Yeah, Scott Brzezowski, you see how he pulled that tire back off after they put it on because there was a lug nut sitting up on top of the hub. And by making that move, it kept them from having a problem later that could have taken them out of the championship.
And the entire Jeff Gordon team nominated as our Goodyear Superior Performers today here in Texas. Caution is out. we believe for debris off of turn number 2. And it is the 7th yellow flag. And a huge break for Brad Keselowski.
Yes, it is. This is something that's really going to pay off, that move that they made by keeping him on the racetrack. The last caution, he was able to stay in 3rd place, and now he can come in with these leaders.
Got the wrinkle in the rear quarter panel of A.J. Allmendinger's car.
Yeah, I wouldn't go by that. I think I've seen most of the teams pulling the left sides out, too.
It's like he had a tire go down. The left rear is flat.
Yep.
Got it to pit road. Ooh, that's a close call for Matt.
Clear.
It's actually
still no caution.
This caution, because now they've got a chance to make it up with a good pit stop, which they have a great crew and a good pit stall down there, number 1.
So pit road open here. It'll be 48 laps to go. And Brad Keselowski from 12th to the lead. He only fell back to 3rd. And now comes down pit road, heads up with these others that he hasn't been around much all race long, Vince.
Well, this 48 pit crew has been spot on all day. They need a money stop right here. They're going to go around in the right rear to help Jimmie find that balance that he's been looking for the last couple of stops. 4 tires in Sunoco fuel, Doc.
Jeff Gordon saying it's building tight, getting a little bit too tight. Did they make a major change? No. Air pressure, left side tires going on. Kevin Harvick said, for the first time today, we are tight, but I hate to tell you to free it up. I don't want it too free. Jamie.
What a break for the 2 car. They were getting ready to come in and pit right when the caution fell. Brad saying the car's pretty free and manageable. 4 tire stop. Ooh, almost ran into the back of his teammate there, Alan.
Look at that. Jimmie Johnson's team and Jeff Gordon's team. Jeff got pinched in traffic trying to come out of his pit stall, had to hesitate to keep from hitting the 48, and that allowed Kevin Harvick to slide in front of him also.
I'll tell you, it was a big traffic jam at the end of pit road. Them all coming out at the same time.
Go. Go. One. B4. Should be 4. Yep.
So the lead goes back into the hands of Jimmie Johnson. And watch Jeff Gordon leaving his pit stall after his stop.
Yeah, things got really tight for him. Looked like the 48 was probably going to beat him out anyway because he had the momentum coming. And Jeff had to get out of the throttle. I think that he saw then, I'd rather be 3rd than 2nd anyway, so let's just not get caught speeding.
That's an interesting point too, isn't it? Should be an interesting restart coming up from here in Texas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Texas is presented by Federated Auto Parts. For the best service, knowledge, parts, and people, visit your neighborhood Federated Auto Parts store. And in part by Sprint, introducing the Sprint Family Share Pack. It's the best value in wireless and nationwide. Nationwide is on your side.
About 15 minutes away from sunset here at Texas Motor Speedway under caution for the 7th time, so it's a time for us to get you caught up. It's the 5-hour energy rapid recap, some strategy. Brad Keselowski on lap 253 stayed out, and it turned into a major moment.
It really did. I thought it was a marginal move at best because we saw Denny Hamlin struggle on 2 tires. Brad took no tires, but was able to hold off the field. Unfortunately, I don't know if I think pit road might have been it.
Ended up in 3rd when the next caution came out. I don't want to say trouble, but traffic jam.
Yeah, traffic jam. Now you see Brad Keselowski get trapped behind his teammate Joey Logano leaving pit road. So he's went from being running 1st or 2nd up there with that change that he made by staying out, not pitting, to now he's back to 6 right now. So it's going to be a tough one.
Didn't take advantage of it, Rusty, like I thought he would.
Yeah, you're right about that. Hey, Brad, I just saw the lights come on at the speedway here.
Yep.
It's starting to get dark. I think this last pit stop is key right now. The cars can all make it on fuel right now to the very end. It's going to be tight, but they can make it.
That's big.
Alan?
Got 24 on the lead lap. As we get doubled up for the restart, you see the track temperature beginning to drop as the sun begins to set. And 44 crucial laps left to go in this one. About anybody's guess who's going to win it.
Got that right. Track temp dropping means more speed, as if they need it anymore, but this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, this is going to be a frantic restart.
Johnson, Harvick, Gordon. Gordon couldn't keep that lane closed out to keep Harvick trapped on the outside.
It made Kevin Harvick's car a lot better by tightening it up. That allowed him to go better on these restarts. They would take that second spot away. Another story back in there now. Matt Kenseth up the 7th spot. His crew gained him 8 spots. Went in 16th, came out 8th. That's a big rally from that problem they had earlier.
See, just by that big move, Matt Kenseth now is plus 10 on the cutoff.
But a lot of racing left to go in this one. See what kind of numbers they're putting up here just after this restart with the temperature starting to cool off.
As impressive as that top speed is, that minimum speed.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, over 170 miles an hour.
You can see right there, Harvick never coming all the way out of the throttle either. Look at that. Just keeping enough to keep it pulling right there and then able to get right back to it. That's what this track temp, cooling down on the fresh tires, allows him to do.
And for Jimmie Johnson, dominant in this race, early on, led 174 laps. When Jeff Gordon got by him, which was way back at like lap 217 when Gordon first got by him, Jimmie wasn't really able to stay there and challenge for the lead. But now, some more adjustments on this car and the changing track conditions and so on. And look at the gap he's already put on Harvick and on Jeff in the few laps of racing we've done here.
And I'll go back and point out, too, I said that he, after a suggestion from his crew chief about running lower off turn 4, he hasn't been doing it. He's more in the center of the corner.
Brett Moffitt. It is out, yes. Popped the wall good. And left a lot of bits and pieces behind. The young 22-year-old in just his 6th career start in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and that race car's a mess.
Andy, with this, what we saw out of the 2-car earlier, has that changed a lot of crew chiefs' minds here or what they do?
Well, they did get to see him stay out there 8 laps, maybe 8 green flag laps on his tires. They've only run 5 green flag laps now. So, yes, I think that a lot of crew chiefs learned from that. I think you'll see more stay out this time.
Look at all that.
My goodness, he's leaving a lot of stuff behind.
It'll take a while to clean up there.
And that's the other part of it. Lap count, 38 to go. If they use up 8, 10 cleaning this up, and just might. The urgency grows.
This is going to be a tough call for the crew chiefs. And we talked about that when we started the race. You know, this is one of those tracks where it's really kind of a 4-tire deal every time if you run about 20 laps. But these short runs puts a little pressure on making this call.
Decision time is here.
Yeah, we see Matt stay. A lot of them staying out this time.
Vince?
Jimmie Johnson said he could still use a little help in the center, so they're going to make that chassis adjustment again. 4 tires for Jimmie Johnson. This pit crew has been so good throughout the course of the day. Let's see what they can do on this one. Doc?
Jeff Gordon likes his car. Going to be 4 tires, fuel, no changes. Kevin Harvick said, hey, we're tight, middle, and tight off. The car's going to be good on a long run if we ever can get a long run. Jamie.
10th pit stop of the day. Joey Logano says not bad. Little on the free side. A wedge adjustment here to help that car. 4 tires, and they'll fill them up with Sunoco fuel and wipe that grill. He's still there. They're taking time. Pack it full of fuel. Problem on the left rear. They're waiting, looking at that left rear. He's still on pit road. The 22, Joey Logano has issues. You see the frustration there. Finally, he's down and away.
Bad time to have a bad stop.
Not have been worse to make that up.
Oh dear.
Oh, this is so painful.
1, 2.
Like 3 lug nuts look like maybe came off.
Wow, Jamie, that's tough.
This was a glued up set of tires. The guys had glued the lugs. They just told me they used a different glue and it didn't have enough time to adhere, so they were all falling off, as they're telling the news right there to the crew chief, Todd Gordon.
Yeah, that's one of the problems. We heard that Goodyear and NASCAR decided to give them an extra set of tires. They run down and get them. They've only got just a little bit of time for that glue to set, and I've seen this happen before, and I've experienced it with wet glue. It's almost 100% chance those things are going to fall off.
The cooler temperatures
makes
that
it worse
from everything.
Just watching to see here where Logano comes back around in the scoring as he crosses the stripe with the few people that didn't pit and the disastrous pit stop. Joey Logano goes from 4th place to 23rd.
He's got some ground to make up because he is 12 points behind the 4th place guy in points right now, which is Ryan Newman.
So 8 drivers did not pit under this 7 make it didn't pit, and Kyle Larson was first off the pit lane. Check the standings here and where some of the chasers are running.
Well, that's going to change here.
Yes,
go back to green, but I'm telling you, Matt Kenseth and his team, Jason Reglet, that might be a call. They've got enough people between them. If this should go green, his car might be good enough to
yeah, he might be able to win
him out front.
Matt's our ESPN in-race reporter. Started first, running first now.
Hey, Matt, Dale Jarrett, good to talk. Hey, pretty good call there. It looks like right now. What are your thoughts as we get towards the end of this race?
Well, the thing I love about Jason is he might go down, but he's going to go down swinging. So, you know, we weren't going to drive the front and win with what we had. Could see it was going to be an extended caution, and saw what the 2 car did earlier. Just thought we'd roll the dice, get out front here, and hang on to what we can get. Hopefully get away and it stays green. See what happens. I know new tires mean a lot today, but so does clean air. So we're going to see what happens.
Hey, Matt, we talk a lot about how good the pit crews are at Joe Gibbs Racing, and uncharacteristically, y'all had an issue that sent you back in the pack, but then they come back and make you up 8 spots. You got to love what those guys do for you.
Yeah, I mean, without them, I would look pretty bad. So they make me look good every week. So yeah, I don't know what happened that one stop, but that number 1 pit stop, then they just had a killer stop there and got us most of our track position back. So, you know, when we got in the back, we were definitely in trouble. So it was a good pit stop, a good call here to at least give me a chance.
All right, thanks for talking. Good luck in these last 30 laps.
Thank you, sir.
Matt Kenseth now running in the lead after staying out from 7th position and moving to the number 1 spot. Now the guys behind him that did not pit: Kurt Busch, Brian Vickers, Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, and Michael Annett. So those the 7 that didn't pit. Then Kyle Larson took just right side tires on his pit stop. He's the first off pit road. There you see behind a couple of lap cars. Then it'll be Jimmie Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, the guys that have dominated a lot of the time up front in this race. Very interesting.
Yeah, if this thing goes green, I think it gives Matt a good chance of winning.
You know, the racetrack's got so much more grip now. You know, we've gotten to that point that the track temp has really cooled down. Not a lot of laps on the tires. Perfect strategy for all of these cars that stayed out. Certainly for Matt Kenseth, he's the headliner there. Denny Hamlin there in 4th. Could be his shot to get something good out of this.
How about Kyle Busch? He's hit the wall, destroyed the car, went 2 laps down at one point, up there in 6th place.
I just want to know what kind of action you want to get on whether this stays green to the finish.
Now that's definitely a gamble.
Yeah.
Your word action could be the key word there, because we're going to get
I said if
it
happened to go green.
They are coming to 1 to go. So we're going to have 32 laps of racing left in this one at Texas, give or take a few for potential overtime. And then, of course, it's on to Phoenix to see who gets the 4 spots in the championship round. That's next Sunday. And the Homestead Miami Speedway wraps up the year. We'll crown a champion in 2 weeks. Join us at the racetrack, NASCAR.com/tickets. Yes, the grandstand at Phoenix is sold out. They've got plenty of room on the hillside for you, and that's a heck of a place to watch a race. And if you've not been to Homestead Miami Speedway, I think it's the perfect venue for a championship. I do live in South Florida. I'll give you that asterisk, but I can tell you the weather's in the 80s. The palm trees are swaying in the breeze, and it's going to be a whale of a race to decide who takes home this year's Sprint Cup Series championship trophy. Tony Stewart's going to pit here after staying out earlier.
Yeah, that's a little puzzling.
Well,
must have felt something with his race car that didn't feel right after things got slowed down. Could have run over something back there.
There's plenty of stuff out there to run over.
Yes.
And Joey Logano back in the soup as the team goes to work on a revised manner of attaching lug nuts to the new sets of tires. Jamie?
A lot of work going on down here to get those lug nuts on. We saw what happened. The lugs were just falling off from the glue. Todd, at this point, do you think you guys can fight back at all? And knowing that they're gluing up another set and it could happen again.
We'll address the issue down here. And Joey's awesome at giving him 4 tires, let him be aggressive. So we got 30-some laps to go. We'll get all we can.
That's all they can do right now is be aggressive, Alan.
All right, Jamie. Inside the final 50 miles. And a restart coming up. Carl Edwards, free pass, back onto the lead lap at this caution. Here we go.
Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon to the high side making time.
Inside lane got bottled up when Brian Vickers slipped. But now they're double wide in front of the cars with fresh tires. Kurt Busch to the outside of Matt Kenseth looking for the race lead.
One thing Matt didn't want and wasn't counting on, I think he thought he could get away there. Kurt Busch got other ideas.
Kurt led that lap.
Kenseth loose.
Joey Logano, flat tire possibly.
Oh yeah, going.
Keep digging.
Not be able to save it.
Run to the bottom here. Hold on.
Caution for Logano.
There it is, caution. Get turned around here.
Right rear's down.
Did we hit anything?
We didn't hit anything, but they're coming apart.
Let me put the Scots on it. Right sides only.
One of the drivers on a lot of folks' grid as being in that championship quartet, Joey Logano, with some late problems here in Texas. The problems on pit road, and then the spin from 24th place.
Fine. Body is fine.
Jamie?
Well, I got to say, this is something you don't see in the Sprint Cup Series, putting scuffed tires on a race car at the end of a race. Right sides only right now is what Todd Gordon just called for. Tire changers with a handful of lug nuts just in case they need it, because these, of course, had to be glued on as well. And that's all they have right now. And meanwhile, they've got a set here that they just glued up, hoping that that will stick if they get in this situation once again.
Behind the 9 is clear up, clear up. Inside. Clear high. Flat tire some, guys. Inside. Right rear's black, like it's going down here. Keep digging. Spun to the bottom here.
Something's obviously wrong. My question is, was there some contact somewhere on the restart that might have cut down the right rear on that 24 car? But we'll go back and see what we might be able to see. But Joey Logano with some late race misfortune here in Texas that he now has to try and rally from. You stop and you think about what this chase has been for Joey Logano and the finishes that he's had, how steady and rock solid he's been. Fourth, first, fourth, first, fourth, the 11th at Talladega, and then 5th last week at Martinsville.
Yeah, they've just been as a steady a team as there has been in the chase this there week in and week out. And they're a big issue they're going to have here. Obviously, they pitted before pit road was open, had to do that, so they're going to be behind all the cars.
I'm not sure about that. I think I saw a green light on the end of pit road when he pitted.
Not when he came. He came before they got.
Okay, well, the green light came out behind him.
Watch the right side of the car here. See if he has some contact. And there, that's Marcos Ambrose in the 9. And maybe with all those flared fenders or whatnot, that was just enough to get the right rear on the 22.
He still might have some clearance issues. I'm just looking at that right side. I hope they don't have another tire rub.
They will be coming to 1 to go this time. And so the adventure continues for these drivers who would hope to be champion. Today here at Texas, Jeff Gordon with the problem earlier on the pit stop. It cost him a little bit of track position. Carl Edwards just not really running well all day. Keselowski almost got taken out earlier in the race. Big save there when Casey Kane had troubles and slid up into the 2. Matt Kenseth now trying to rally after a similar problem to Gordon's. And then now Logano back in traffic after a pit stop problem, then contact back in the traffic that cut down the tire and caused the spin.
I feel like we've had a list at least that long every week of the chasers that have issues starting back at Chicago.
1 to go here.
Yeah, there's the Team Penske cars, the ones that have been so solid this year.
Got to go. And got to go fast. See what might happen in the last 26 laps of this one. And then, of course, there's Phoenix next week to try and find a way in. And Logano making his 3rd or 4th pit stop here under this caution. And Andy, there's the
yep, they need to right up top there. They need to just clearance it just a little more. I think maybe they have it now. I think they were going to have a problem if they didn't come in. It's okay. It already shined up the tire from rubbing.
Seeing Kurt Busch as the leader for the first time today choose the outside lane. Of course, that's where he took the lead from after that on that last restart. Very interesting, though.
That's the first time we've seen that all weekend, even yesterday in the nationwide race. Every one of the leaders taking that bottom lane.
Your restart order coming past you. Jeff Gordon all the way back in 10th place after the scramble and shuffle.
Contact there between the 20 and 41.
Little smoke out of Kurt Busch.
Yep.
Coming from that contact or not.
Jimmie Johnson looking for 2nd. He said,
it looks like.
Kurt said got hit in the left rear. Hope it's not cut. Johnson to 2nd. Harvick to 3rd. Jeff Gordon trying to make his way through. Around Denny Hamlin for 5th place goes Jeff. Weren't with us earlier. Matt Kenseth led the first 53 laps from pole. Then Jimmie Johnson went by him and dominated the middle stages of the race. Gordon got by Johnson and had the stronger car until the field got shuffled up through a series of late cautions, pit stops, pit strategy, and so on. Gordon trying to take 4th place from Kenseth, while Johnson is up on Kurt Busch for the race lead.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth now just trying to manage a finish here. things didn't work out the way they were hoping. If they could get a top 5, top 7 finish, they'll be in a pretty good spot in the points.
Jimmie tried to gas it up on the outside, didn't hold traction.
No, them racing like that's allowing Harvick to close in now.
And Gordon trying to close in on all 3 of them.
Big run by Johnson there. That's impressive. Kurt Busch able to hold him off there.
Hook spinner off turn 4. Kasey Kahne in the grass. Caution is out.
Hold the brake, coming by outside.
And another car with smoke and damage. Marcos Ambrose up in turns 1 and 2. Don't know if he got a piece of that, but yellow flag number 10 here at Texas. I'd say the answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think these two got together coming off turn 4.
See Ambrose sliding. Kasey Kahne got loose and he tried to correct it there. Yeah, jumped up into Ambrose.
What started out as a promising day for Kasey Kahne is not finishing that way by any means.
Yeah, the first half of the race was much better for him than the second half has been.
All right, crew chief.
Man, I don't know.
19 laps to go, coming back around. Got 26 of them on the lead lap. What do you do?
Well, again, you know, just have these short runs.
It's such an easy question to ask, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Harder with the answer.
What do you think, Jimmie, on tire strategy here? I have no earthly idea, but I know I can pass out 41. I don't know what happens after that.
Yep, I mean, I kind of like staying out for Jimmie. I think that'll keep a lot of people on the racetrack. And he, like you said, he can pass the 41.
Here they are.
Decision time.
Harvick from 3rd.
Oh, a lot of them came.
Gordon stayed out.
A lot more came than I thought.
Very interesting. Dave?
Denny Hamlin's car was tight. Darian Grubb asked him if he could leave him out and still maintain position. They thought together, no. So 4 tires for Denny and a slight air pressure adjustment to help the race car. Doc?
Yeah, Rodney Childers said we have 1 set of tires left. What do you want to do? He said we might as well use them. So he brought him down. Left side tires going on the 4 car. No fuel at all. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth desperately needed some tires here. They made a chassis adjustment as well, put 4 tires on it and filled them up. The 2 in as well. And you see the 9 still sitting on pit road, guys.
Jamie McMurray first off the pit lane. And the Jeopardy music plays here at Texas Motor Speedway. 19 laps to go. Going to have 17 laps to go here at Texas, and the field doubled up for the restart. Kurt Busch, Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon, A.J. Allmendinger, Tony Stewart, Austin Dillon, Joey Logano, Michael Annett did not pit. Top 8. Jamie McMurray, just right side tires, first off the pit lane in 9th. Then Matt Kenseth, Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick back through 12th place. Justin Allgaier, free pass, back on the lead lap. 27 of them, ready to go. Your guess is as good as mine.
Should be fun to watch. Harvick go on the inside.
Trying to run through on the fresher tires. Jimmie Johnson to the race lead. Jeff Gordon second.
They're 4 wide coming through the trial.
Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman in the middle of all that. Newman got a rub.
Yeah, that's rubbing pretty good too. That might be a
left rear.
Could be a huge moment for the driver who started the day second in points.
Had a tire up through 1 and 2. I didn't see it through 3 and 4. I do see it on the exit of 4. Rear, left rear.
Hard to imagine that will make it for 15 more laps for Ryan Newman. Let's hope that it does.
With all that sliding around and banging around back there, don't you have to leave him out until?
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Trouble.
On the backstretch, Kasey Kahne again. Caution number 11, another big reset.
All the way in.
And what a disastrous day for Kasey Kahne.
Like he didn't realize that that's the 21 car on the outside of Trevor Bayne. So he was kind of moving away from the car that was to his inside, but didn't realize that there was a car to his outside.
It's going to take a little while. Looks like that right front fender jammed in on the tire for Kasey. He can't steer it.
So pit road open here for lead lap cars.
I think that strategies have kind of been set. I mean, looks like that's the 47 of Allmendinger making a stop, but I think most of these guys have to stay out now.
Well, Newman's got to come in.
Yeah.
Is that Kenseth following him down?
It is, man. I was surprised. He's got damage. That might have been where some of that smoke
that might be when they got together.
Yeah,
when Harvick went to the inside of them.
Greg Biffle, Austin Dillon, Justin Allgaier, Michael Annett, the other lead lap cars that are pitting. Jamie?
You see the right front on the 20 there, no Goodyear logo at all. Tire rub there, the two did get together. The 31 is putting left side scuffed tires on. They didn't have any new tires ready to put on this race car. Meanwhile, the 20, they're pulling those fenders out, making sure it all looks good. Big event for two chasers right now, just on the verge of making it into Homestead.
So Newman and Kenseth tangling there.
Yeah, it looked like Newman moved down into Kenseth. That's what put him 4 wide.
Yeah, I don't know if Newman got loose and kind of had to chase his car down there.
So that's big for both of them because they're going to be way back in traffic. And here, what happened to Matt Kenseth? And it was Trevor Bayne he came across. Did I say Kenseth? I meant Kasey Kahne. But they're both on my mind because they're involved in the action here late in the race. Texas Motor Speedway, our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series coverage today presented by Federated Auto Parts under caution with just 12 laps to go. Speedway all lit up for the finish of this one. Our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learned making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Well, there've been enough ups and downs and twists and turns in the last 100 laps of this one to fill up 2 pages of notes specifically. And now we get set for what may or may not be a 10-lap dash to the checkered flag with Jimmie Johnson leading and Jeff Gordon running second.
Just got to get a start, get going, man. Get by Jimmie, you can do it. There's not enough laps for him to get to you.
Yeah, well, he talks about somebody getting to him. He's talking about the guys on tires. Now, if he's able to get by Jimmie, feels like he'll have a chance to win it. Good chance.
This race had some massive green flag runs earlier in it. One that lasted 129 laps, which is about a third of the race. And now yellow fever.
Yeah, I think we've been averaging about 5 lap runs here for the last little while.
Yeah, and this is maddening especially for those drivers that are trying to work their way in to Homestead, whether it's win this race or by points. You know, you had a while back we had Harvick and Gordon up there, and just with each one of these you realize that it's only putting you in another position that you don't want to be in. Nothing you can do about it except race hard.
Going to get the 1 to go here, and so we'll have a restart with 9 laps to go. And what a twisted picture.
Yeah. Remember when Denny Hamlin was far outside the cutoff there?
Yeah, how about Joey Logano? When he was outside just, what, 20 minutes ago?
And again, what it means for a win. If Jimmie Johnson wins, then that means there's going to be at least 3 places on points available for the Homestead finale, and those are so tightly bunched together, as you can see. But if Jeff Gordon or Kevin Harvick can get up there and win, or Denny Hamlin, they're through. And that puts even more pressure on some of these other guys at Phoenix next week.
And even Brad Keselowski, he's still up there, he's 5th.
So, the cars that pitted, Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman, principally, are way back in traffic. Newman is 21st for the restart. Kenseth is 25th. Ricky Stenhouse got the free pass on the caution, back on the lead lap. So we've got 27 cars on the lead lap. And the real story at the front of the field, can Jeff Gordon get going in that outside lane? Can he get back down in behind Jimmie Johnson if he can't get around him, in front of Kurt Busch, and have a shot at racing him? And Gordon's car's been better than Johnson's on the longer run today. Does he have enough laps left to get around Jimmie?
This isn't considered a long run here, so that's going his best option is going to be to somehow try to figure out a way to get his best restart and get to Jimmie Johnson's bumper and try to loosen him up here in these last 10 laps.
Oh, and by the way, we may not be done with the yellow flag either. Had a green-white checker finish here in the race back in April. Here's your restart order. What's going to happen next? We find out together. Johnson and Gordon on the front row, pace cars off.
Gordon getting a big push from Tony Stewart. See if that helps him.
Jamie McMurray 3 wide.
Comes Harvick with those tires. Gordon, big run.
Jeff Gordon to the race lead off turn 2. Kurt Busch to the inside of Johnson. Keselowski through 3 wide on the bottom. Keselowski and Kurt Busch for 3rd place. Kevin Harvick right there with Brad. Keselowski 3rd, Harvick 4th. They've got to pass Jimmie Johnson and find a way to catch Jeff Gordon. If the yellow doesn't come out, that's going to be awfully tough.
I'll guarantee you, if Jeff Gordon goes on to win this, that he will thank Tony Stewart whenever he gets that opportunity, probably in victory lane if he does that. Because that was the push that got him up beside and kept him beside the 48 to stay right there down in 1 and 2 and then made a huge run.
Harvick couldn't make it stick. Still back there racing with Keselowski.
Not to have any chance, he really needed to make that pass right then.
This is close. And it's all helping Jeff Gordon get away.
see Harvick. He's getting everything he has, just trying to get to the bumper of that 2-car, loosen him up.
Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman haven't really made any progress. Joey Logano is 13th. Denny Hamlin is 8th. Newman's 20th. Kenseth is 22nd. 4 laps to go. Clint Boyer with a slide off turn 4. He's into the wall. Front straightaway. Caution flag is out.
There he goes out. I think he got you in the left rear.
Wow, you can see it on his face. If we could see Jeff Gordon's face, we'd see kind of the same thing that Alan Gustafson was showing right there.
Things got tight in traffic. Back in the pack, Clint Boyer got turned a little sideways, slapped the outside wall hard off of turn number 4, not once but twice.
Like Boyer might have had to check up just a little bit to stay out of Paul Menard, and then got tapped in the left rear.
All clear still. Outside, protect the bottom. Looking low, inside, inside. Inside, you're fine. Still lined up inside, lined up inside. Keep it up there, keep it up there, keep it up there. Yells out. Spinning on the top, spinning on the top. Still green.
So yellow flag number 12, equaling the track record. Pit road open here. Don't see any of these front runners being takers, and there's just so many cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, you can't, if you're up front, you can't afford to come down right now. Jeff Gordon just, you know, we talked about his restart of his life at Indianapolis, I believe that was, and
yeah,
there's Kurt Busch going to come down, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, Kurt had fallen back to 10th place, so he will be the first one to come in. Vince?
What a day it's been for this 41 Kurt Busch in his first race with the new crew chief Tony Gibson. They've been at the front today. They've had some issues in the pits. They gambled to stay out. All in all, a very solid day for the 41. 4 tires and away. This is their chance if they can make something happen on the green-white checker. Pitted from 10.
Very few coming in. So setting up for a little extra racing. Green-white checker coming up here at Texas as we go down to the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio. Nicole, Rusty, and Brad.
You know, I had said in Talladega I was checking my heart rate because I was so nervous. I feel a little bit like it's the same thing.
It's crazy right now. I mean, this is going to be the most incredible restart we've seen in a long time. I know that Team Hendrick wants that 24 car in to lock him in, but I'll tell you what, Jimmie Johnson wants that win real bad too. You got Keselowski back there, you got Harvick just all over him. Stay tuned because I really think that this restart is something we'll remember for a long time.
It might be the best one we've seen all year.
Yeah, Jeff was fortunate. He got a great push on that last restart. I don't know if he's going to get that. He's going to have to really get the restart of his life in order to keep up with that 48.
Can't imagine he's going to get any help from Kevin Harvick.
Probably won't happen.
Or Brad Keselowski. No, probably not.
Not going to happen.
If you are Jimmie Johnson and you know what's on the line for your teammate, Jeff Gordon, how do you approach this restart?
I still think you have to go for the win. I don't think you can concentrate on that. I think by racing as hard as you possibly can, trying to win this race, it's going to allow 24 to do his best. If you try to help him in any way, shape, form, it can mess both of you up.
Yep, just checking. Heart rate is elevated. It's not normal.
All right, Nicole, 1 to go here. So look at that last restart. Did Jeff Gordon just choose the outside?
He did. I was just looking. I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Wow. Here's that push from Tony Stewart you were talking about, DJ.
Yeah, this one allowed him, you can see the huge push that he's getting. That allowed him to stay up beside the 48, and as they got down here, you can see he gets down on the quarter panel just a little bit. Jimmie not able to get back to the gas. Jeff gets a huge run. Now maybe Jeff thinks because of that, that's why he chose that. He is in control of the restart here.
Yeah, gotta be.
Wonder if he can count on a push from Kevin Harvick.
He can count on Kevin going 3 wide.
But it might be 4 wide because I think that 2 cars have same kind of thoughts here on this start.
We talked about intensity, what it means.
Yeah.
what it can mean. And of course for Jimmie Johnson, it's just a trophy. It's another race win.
Oh, here we go. Beast mode. Let's go.
And Harvick may push this 24 because that's his best shot. If he can get by there, it's just the two of them that he can get by the 48, then that gives him the best opportunity. So he may get up there and try to push this 24.
Green, white checker, attempt number 1. Gordon and Keselowski.
Coming outside also.
Keselowski to the outside of Johnson for the race lead.
All clear.
Jeff Gordon may have a flat tire. Yeah, he does.
Gordon spinning, turn 4. Caution is out. We'll have another attempt at a green white checker.
Well, who was the leader right there when that caution came? 2 or the 48?
They'll let us know. But talk about a disastrous turn of events for Jeff Gordon.
All right, come on down here, get 4 tires.
That was some contact with Brad Keselowski.
So Jimmie Johnson will be the race leader. Jeff Gordon is on pit road.
Damn, just go.
And Jeff Gordon might lose a lap here on this pit stop.
Go.
He's going to have to go with that flat tire on the left side to try and stay ahead of Jimmie Johnson.
I think he made it.
Have to check.
I'm not sure why they went to the right side first.
Yeah, Jeff did not beat the leader to the scoring line at the end of pit road, so he's going to have to stop. Going to have to get in line between 48 and 2, and then he's going to have to pit again anyway. So Jeff has lost a lap, and he's going to go to the end of the line for pitting too soon, and it is a big disaster for Jeff Gordon on the green-white checker here in Texas.
I really believe, I hate to second guess someone, I really believe it was just that choice that he made to go to the outside. Brad Keselowski was ready to go though, but you can see the contact's what cut the left rear tire down there.
3 wide.
Kenseth must have seen a lot that he didn't like too, because he just barely avoided.
Yeah, the big mistake was not changing the left side tires first and try to stay on the lead lap. That's going to cost him dearly.
Here's Kenseth, Jamie.
Matt Kenseth, remember, had that damage earlier. So they just told him, we don't have any new tires. And Matt said, well, that's bad news. So a lot of these guys, remember, they're putting these lug nuts on old tires with just a few laps on. They're checking the damage there. Not many Chase drivers unscathed after tonight's events.
All right, good to go.
So contact between Brad Keselowski and Jeff Gordon, racing with Jimmie Johnson for the lead after the green-white checker restart, results in a flat tire and a spin on the 24. And Keselowski will find himself alongside Johnson for the second attempt at the green-white checker.
Went to block you there when you went 3 wide. He came down. Yeah, it's just racing. It's no different than what happened with Tony and Dale last week. Got a little newer tires and got a better run than he did.
another look.
You see Keselowski just has a huge run. Gordon leaves the door open just a little bit there. It was just a little open, and Brad made it a lot wider.
The way this thing's developed, I mean, it's really tightened the whole field up to these top 8. I mean, just from Jeff Gordon, who's holding on to that 4th spot right now in points, back to Harvick, who was 8. There's only 8 points now.
I'm sitting there looking at Carl Edwards, who at one time was 2 laps down in this race.
And he's 8th.
Unbelievable.
Joey Logano's up to 11th. Again, Ryan Newman back in 20th. Kenseth 27th. Gordon 29th. And Keselowski has a chance for another win, like his victory at Talladega, coming back from difficulties earlier in the race.
I'm like Nicole. My heart rate's up.
Second attempt at a green-white checker.
I've seen Keselowski do some incredible things in these situations. Can he do it once again?
And by the way, don't forget about Kyle Busch, who's come back from difficulties earlier in the race and runs 3rd.
Unbelievable. Right side of that thing's mangled.
Do we settle it here, or do we go to a 3rd attempt at some overtime? This is for the race lead, coming to the white flag.
Harvick really got the 2-car loose right there. Oh, he's going to turn him. Nope, didn't he save it?
White flag, last lap. Harvick's by Keselowski. But unless there's a slip, he's not going to have enough time to catch Jimmie. A frantic finish, and for the 3rd year in a row, Jimmie Johnson wins the chase race at Texas.
I want you to burn the line off those things, man. Great job. Congratulations, guys. Awesome day up pit road, you guys. Awesome day. Jimmie, drove your ass off, man. Yeah, buddy, thank you.
I'll tell you, he did, but he wasn't the only one.
Wow.
That was some driving right there.
That was intense.
Right?
Race.
Yep.
So for Jimmie Johnson, his first win in 18 races.
Red vest day, baby, red vest.
And his 4th win of this season. And again, he wins this race at Texas for a 3rd straight year. Keselowski finishes 3rd, Harvick 2nd, Edwards 9th, Hamlin 10th, Logano 12th, Newman 15th, Kenseth 25th, and Gordon 29th.
When you take a look at the points, when we get to that point of showing us that Jimmie Johnson celebrate, what an unbelievable day we're going to see next week in Phoenix with everybody in the mix.
That just put them all right back in it.
Everybody. See Jeff Gordon probably not very happy with the 2-car there, maybe. They have a talk with him.
I believe he wants to have a conversation and have it right now. right in the middle of that is our Jamie Little.
Well, Brad is a little beat up, spitting some blood out, and I see blood around your forehead, your chin. Brad, what is your take on what happened with Jeff Gordon?
You know, we're just racing for the win, and I reckon we just raced him hard, and he left the hole, and you know, everything you watch in racing, you leave a hole, you're supposed to tow for it, and it closed back up. We made contact. You know, I don't want to ruin anyone's day. Wanted to win the race, and that was our opportunity, and just didn't come together.
Brad, we know that you're fierce on the racetrack, but we're seeing this bubbling over race after race now. Do you think that this is a fair way to deal with things on track?
Well, I mean, I don't see, you know, I've been through a lot of rivalries, and I got a little blood on me right now, and, you know, I've been roughed up and put in the grandstands and wrecked and done all that stuff. And I'm still here fighting. It's not going to change the way I race. Race with 100% intensity and go for the win, and that's what our fans deserve in NASCAR.
Do you think that NASCAR should let this be settled between you guys and stay out of it at this point?
You know, I'm too close to the fire to make those decisions, but I do know that it's my job to race 100%, and that's what I did today. Didn't wreck anyone, but I certainly race hard, and that's nothing to be ashamed of.
Thanks, Brad, for your time. We'll try to catch up with Jeff Gordon, get his side. Let's go to Doc.
Yeah, we are with Jeff down here, and Rick Hendrick coming up to give Jeff a hug and talk to his driver. He knows how disappointed Jeff is, given the fact that Jeff, take us through, first of all, take us through the final restart there in the contact.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we were sitting there on a little bit older tires. Yeah, I spun the tires a little bit, but I got a pretty decent start. You know, and we went down into one, and I just wanted to get the outside of the 48, and out of nowhere, I just got slammed with the 2, and it cut my left rear tire. And he's just a dipshit, you know. I mean, the way he races, I don't know how he's ever won a championship, and I'm just sick and tired. I mean, that's why everybody's fighting him and running him down, and you know, your emotions are high. That was a huge, huge race for us. We had the car, we had the position. So proud of my team, and I'm proud of Jimmie Johnson for winning that race, not letting that little, you know what, win that race. Oh my gosh.
The conflict with Brad on pit road. You came out, you pulled on the pit road to talk to him. Tell us about what the conversation was and what happened.
There wasn't any conversation. You can't have a conversation with him. I mean, you know, he beats his own drum, gets himself in this position himself, and he's got to pay the consequences. And, you know, I'm going to race him the same way he races me, but that kind of stuff's just uncalled for, and I'm not going to stand for it.
What are the consequences as far as you're concerned with him, and should NASCAR get involved, do you think, or is this between you two?
You know, to them, I'm sure it's just a racing incident, but to me, it's just a bunch of crap. I mean, the kid is just doing stuff way over his head, and I mean, that's just uncalled for. You're racing for a win and a championship. You don't go slam somebody and cut their left rear tire. So, you know, if that's what it takes, then no problem. I can do the same thing back to him.
Okay, Jeff Gordon, his side of the story, and let's go to Dave Burns.
Standing by with Kevin Harvick, who has witnessed another brawl following a race here, this time only from second position. Kevin, talk about trying to push through the 2 there at the end and trying to win this race.
Yeah, just trying to do all you could do, and obviously it was no holds barred there with the 2. He was in bulldoze mode, so just proud of all my guys on our Budweiser team. Fought all day, put ourselves in position to win, and a lot happened at the end of this race, and we were able to put ourselves back in the hunt.
Again, seeing the emotion after the race like this, what does that mean to you, Kevin, about how this chase is being played?
It's being played rough, and you know, it's just one of those deals where everybody's trying to get everything they can, and you just do everything you can do to do the best you can for your team.
All right, 10-4. Kevin Harvick finishing second here tonight.
And while all that's been going on, Jimmie Johnson did the burnouts and has driven into Victory Lane. Our Victory Lane interview presented by 5 Hour Energy.
With all the emotion that has been spilling over after the checkered flag, I can assure you there's a lot of emotion inside this 48 team right now as well. What's this win mean to you after what you guys have been through this season, Jimmie?
Well, I think, good job, buddy, absolutely.
just a testament to this team and the fact that we'll never give up. You know, we'll always keep fighting and keep trying to make our cars better. You know, we're not in the chase, we're not where we want to be, fighting for the championship. But great day today here with this Red Vest Lowe's Chevrolet. I'm so happy to win this race and to say thank you to all the men and women that work in the stores and wear that vest each and every day. You know, it was just a chase that was tough for us, but to redeem ourselves here and come out with a victory is really, really cool. Last week in Homestead when we were testing, we found some speed we've been missing, and we found comfort in the car and got it right. Had a great test there. Brought that stuff here, and Old Red got it done.
You've been through a lot in your 6 championships, but what do you make of some of the things that are going on and the emotions and the fighting and all of the extracurriculars that are going on during the course of this championship run? Yeah, it's intense. I mean, you know, emotions run high, and when somebody does you wrong, you know, if you don't have a chance to repay them on the racetrack, like most bring it into the garage area and do something with it there. So emotions are high. You know, it's what we're all in a position to win a championship, and this is what happens. So I'm sure it was highly entertaining today. I can't wait to go back and watch the tape. But once again, just so proud of everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. Great car, great engine. Lowe's, Chevrolet, just a fantastic day. Cobalt Tools as well. Your drive was highly entertaining as well. Well done. Jimmie Johnson wins at Texas.
So looking back at some of the emotions that boiled over here after the race, just a small little detail that is worth noting. Watch Brad Keselowski there, and from the left side of the grouping,
yeah, that was Harvick. Well, and then it's on. And Jamie Little, she's right in the middle of it too.
A few weeks ago, we didn't really classify that as a fight. I think that been closer more to wrestling and people disagreeing, but that was an all-out fight right there.
There'd be some bumps and bruises from that one on a lot of folks' part.
Yeah, there were a lot of punches thrown in that one.
You know, we all knew, and just as Jimmie was pointing out there, we all knew that with this format, that all of this was going to ramp up the pressures and everything that was going to take place on the racetrack.
Drivers and teams whose cars are back in the garage area after the race, watching our telecast earlier and seeing what happened. So, championship standings, headed to the final race of the eliminator round, where 4 will be eliminated. And look at this. How close could it be for that elimination spot? And of course, if somebody wins at Phoenix, that's a championship eligible driver. That changes that whole picture also. So there'll be desperate people at Phoenix racing for the win.
This must see, and I'm glad we're going to be there and be a part of it.
So Sports Center's coming up next. Ricky Craven in our ESPN studios, ready to continue the coverage of a wild night in Texas. And next weekend, Saturday, the Nationwide Series, Chase Elliott could be crowned champion. And next Sunday, the final race of the Eliminator Round, the Quicken Loans Race for Heroes 500 from Phoenix, both on ESPN next weekend. Jimmie Johnson wins tonight, but they'll all be talking about Gordon, Keselowski, and Harvick post-race.